Name is Betty?
No, her name's Betty.
Oh, her name is Betty.
Her
Okay.
name's Betty.
Is she?
I challenged Betty to a debate, and she wanted to make it completely one-sided, as in she wanted me to justify the round Earth, and for her to simply say "nuh-uh" the entire time. She didn't want to actually put forth a model and defend it as you would do in a fucking debate.
And that's exactly it. I mean, she actually said, I have it right here. She says, but I do not have a model. And I'm like, okay, so you have nothing to debate Reds with, because you're not going to sit there and have Reds do all the put forth presentation and all the evidence, kind of like what I did with Ronnie. And if you just go, oh, you're wrong because I'm smarter than you.
Well, maybe she can answer some questions. Where are the poles on a flat Earth? Because that's the one thing that we're trying to figure out with Hawk. Because Hawkseye was saying, well, at latitude 90, that would be your cosine 90. And I said, yes, that's on the round Earth.
Flat with the equator. I mean, they're basically your zero, your level at that point.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. So where would the poles be? Because from what I understand, the poles would be at opposite ends of the disk, where however you determine that.
She has no idea. She doesn't have a model. She doesn't. How would she even know about magnetic poles if she doesn't have a model even to begin with?
Yeah,
there are no poles on a flat Earth, because these geometrically illiterate fucktards don't seem to understand that. Magnets don't work like that. You would essentially have to have the South Poles, radiating out in all directions from the core of their fucking pizza Earth.
The only way I can see that is that maybe like the Earth is flat and the Earth is actually acting as a gigantic like rectangle magnet, and you have the lines of flux coming out either end and then coming around, but that would present so many other problems, and that's not what we see when we have a compass, obviously, right?
Or exactly. Is it like a toroid? You know what I'm talking about, like the disc where it's on opposites on the opposite sides of the disc itself are the poles, not perpendicular to the actual edges. You know what I'm saying?
Like a donut-shaped model?
I wouldn't even go that complicated. I wouldn't even go that complicated with her. I would simply ask her, okay, explain why the angular size of the sun remains constant throughout the day. Because if you were to do the math on a flat Earth with a sun that's 36 miles across and only 3,000 miles high, then the math is actually fairly simple. It's like alpha equals the 2 times of arctan of G over 2R. And then with that, you can find out just how big the sun would have to grow from sunrise to sunset. And what we find is that the sun would have to the sun would have to rise at one angular size, grow to 4 times bigger midday, and then shrink again to the size it was when it rose. Happening. Instead, when you take a regular camera with a solar filter and compare all the images, they're exactly the same. Gee, I wonder why.
I'm glad you said the solar filter, because she did produce a video not understanding the thing called glare. For her, it's just a magical thing that doesn't exist, and she actually thinks that the sun is growing larger and smaller because she doesn't understand things like a filter. So you're dealing with these people that don't even understand the most simplistic of concepts. Like if you want to take the angular diameter, you've got to put a glare filter on, because you've got to just look at the disk. You can't look at the glare that's coming off of it. That's going to change throughout the day.
Exactly. And so, Steve, when this all goes down and you start going through or screen sharing the comments, I'm not going to be here because, like I said, I'm at this third world hellhole known as my job, and I'll be here till 11 o'clock. So unfortunately, I won't be able to bitch about it for too much longer. But I will say this: Betty did admit that she did not have a model. That means that Betty has absolutely nothing to debate me with, even if she agreed to it. What's even worse than that is that even assuming she had a model, she would still not want to debate me, because she wanted to make this debate completely one-sided, where I do all the work and justify my model, but she doesn't have to justify hers. Instead, what all she has to do is simply say nuh-uh, nuh-uh a million times over, after I just did the work ramming this shit up her ass. And yet she doesn't have to give me the same respect of describing her model and showing the evidence that backs up this flat Earth bullshit.
Yeah, I'm presenting it right now as you were talking, as she says, but I do not have a model. She takes this as a default position, which is idiotic to begin with. The default position is we don't know, but if they really want to have the default position, but she's literally wanted you to give all the evidence for a round Earth, and then her and her infinite stupidity, without a single shred of scientific understanding, going, "Oh, well, you're wrong, Reds, because reasons."
I'm trying to. Is this on your page, Steve?
Yeah.
Where is that from? No, that
But
is a message from Quantum Array. Yeah, that's.
You know what that is, right? Because
page.
essentially, because she doesn't understand what the default position actually is, which is, again, I don't know. That's the default position. I do not fucking know. The word fucking is optional, by the way, in case you're wondering. I would say this. She's going to say that if she can debunk, I guess, everything that I would have brought forward, then she's going to say that because I disproved the round Earth, therefore flat. Basically,
Argument
jumping the gun and argument from ignorance, which is, if I remember correctly, wasn't that an issue with another flat earther that didn't understand the argument from ignorance? Spurkismo, I believe the name is familiar to me.
Yeah, and they're fine with theological fallacies, though. They don't care. They're like, yeah, so what? It's logical fallacies, still my position. Okay, so you basically want to build a framework of knowledge based upon a fallacy. That tells me all I need to know about your position.
Yeah, basically their entire position is a big pile of fallacious horseshit. And not only that, they don't understand how debate works, and they don't understand where burden of proof lies. If you make an assertion, you have a burden of proof. Now, I also made an assertion, to be fair. I said that the Earth was round. That's an assertion. However, in the debate that we would have over which model best comports with reality, I would actually back up my model. She says I had to do all the work, and then her simply dispute what I said. That's not what a debate would be. The debate would be her also bringing forth a model and her also defending that model with actual fucking evidence. I think the reason why she was backing out is because even she knows, even in her infinite stupidity, even she knows that she doesn't have a fucking leg to stand on.
Yeah, she only wants to, like, quote mine and quote John, the independent variable quantum eraser. I mean, she's like a little miniature version of him. Only she's probably dumber than he is, because she's ill-equipped to even understand why he's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, and I'm going to head back to work now. But before I do, I just want to tell Betty, if she is watching this, even Quantum Eraser ran away from me. So you're going to be doing yourself no favors bringing him up, because here's the thing. I went to Quantum Eraser per your instructions, trying to get an actual debate from a quote-unquote credible flat earther. And he ran away just like you did. So do me a favor, Betty. Never reference that fucker again, because he's just as much of a coward as you are. Anyway, I'm out, guys.
All right, thanks, Red.
See you.
Yeah, no, he is a coward. He is a huge coward. People have asked me, well, why don't you debate Quantum Eraser? Well, there's nothing to debate. Again, they have nothing to bring to the table. I'm not going to go through another debate where I give all this evidence, or at least make a presentation to have my opponent go, reasons. No, not going to happen. And I mean, I don't know if you guys have listened to John, the independent variable. Some of you guys don't know who he is because we don't talk about him that often, but he is a flat earther who really has no handle on science whatsoever, but he throws out all this scientific jargon as if he's some kind of pseudo expert on it. And he's wrong, everything he's ever said. I mean, we have watched some of his videos and just laughed hysterically. Hogtie is just in tears because the guy just doesn't grasp basic concepts, and he's pontificating as some kind of like experts in all these different fields. And it's just so wrong. Matter of fact, he has literally said that time is never the independent variable, yet I gave him experiments where time is an independent variable.
How do we wait? How does
time is the independent variable, because you can't control time.
How do you do calculus without, like, I'm just trying to, because if you're trying to go like d over t, like, how do you, okay, I'm confused.
He doesn't understand it. If I am an experimenter and I change the variable of time, constant, everything else is constant, that is the independent variable, right? I have no control over the linearity of the time, but I can control how much time I actually do something, right? So I'm the person having an effect on the system. It's what am I varying in the experiment? Well, in this case, I let it sit for an hour. In this case, I let it sit for 2 hours. I'm varying the amount of time the experiment is taking place. That's the independent variable by definition. but he has this weird, obscure, strange definition of an independent variable that nobody understands. Ology asks who this Betty is. Betty is a person on various videos that on mine and Flat Earth videos that's been basically writing the coattails of John the Independent Variable, parroting what he's been saying with even less understanding. And so she actually came out today and said she has no model for a flat Earth, which is nice to hear, but it's very indicative of the fact that none of these flat earthers do. This is the third time I've had people say they don't have a model. Orphan Red, flat Earth who makes videos, she doesn't have a model, nor is her channel set up to give a model. And it's very telling that no flat earther has a freaking model that explains our observations. None of them. And speaking of models, hey, Evidence.
Hello.
I just said Jackie because she's cuter, but whatever. You know, Evidence
Hello.
is. How are you, my friend? Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while. Working a lot and haven't produced that much of videos lately.
I know you're slacking, brother.
Yeah, I am. I'm sort of got tired of the whole debate for a while there. I made my final video about G-Man for once, and all of this.
You got to get back into the game, man.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes if we just take one topic and you explain the fallacy of answered prayer for once, and then you have the very next week you have to make another video explaining the goddamn shit all over again because some new guy has popped up into the great debate and thinks he has something to say. So
it's a never-ending process. We know this.
Yeah, you know, so you constantly repeat yourself doing the same old stuff all over, but it's nice to see Steve and Heavy and all the others. So if I can contribute this evening, I will. Yeah,
well, like I said, you just get back in the game every so often, throw a video out every now and then, because you haven't had one for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I like Evidence videos. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, me too. Well, I used to when he put them out. I didn't even tell the last one he had. It's been that long.
Yeah, life happens. I was trying to get a picture of my crawfish in my aquarium, but
I remember he posted in the Great Debate community something on the UFO dilemma not too long ago, because I remember when Andrew Rappaport and Matt Slick, they didn't seem to understand what the UFO dilemma was.
Yeah.
You remember that post you posted in the Great Debate community?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
You know what they say? Evidence is always better than no evidence. You know?
True. So true.
Well, that's why you know when you ask these people for like a model, especially with the flat earthers, and they say, "Well, we don't have a model," they basically are indicating they don't have a case. They don't have a position. They don't want to actually give anything that'll support their point of view. They just rather try to poke holes in others. And this was very indicative of what happened in our debate the other day with Ronnie, where he didn't have a case and he just wanted me to present stuff that he could try to poke holes into, and that's not how it's done. And he was expecting me to present something, you know, specifically on evolution that he can kind of poke holes into. And since I didn't go that route, he had nothing else to add to the debate, right?
Yeah, that's
exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's a common tactic, but you know, hey, if you have any flat earthers out there, they can join and they can present perhaps some evidence and we can discuss those, because you can have sort of a case, I think, without a scientific model, I suppose. But then you have to have real convincing evidence, because you know there are a lot of believers out there and there is no scientific model for believing Christianity, for example. So you have your arguments and you present those, and then we can discuss those. So I suppose.
Yeah, well, the link is out there. I put the link in the live feed. So if anyone wants to come in, I don't know if Spurkismo's around. Orphan Red refused to. I had offered to her, hey, you know, why don't you come on and we can talk about these things.
I'm guessing Betty said no.
Oh, Betty's a coward. Yeah, Betty won't come on. Yeah, she's absolutely a coward.
So have
she's
any,
like, what's that?
Have any of them ever settled on an idea of what it is besides being flat?
No.
Like so here you have flat. Is the sun and moon going around it like this, or are they on top going like this? Or
most of them are top down.
The sun and moon up here.
Yeah. But as Red's pointed out, then you have to be able to just explain why we don't see a change of angular diameter.
Well, what's holding them
Because
up?
reasons. What's that?
What's holding them up?
Well, first of all, they don't believe in gravity, right?
Lunar eclipses with the Earth's shadow on the moon.
Buoyancy.
What?
Buoyancy.
What? The moon takes a dip?
No. They think it's the Earth. They think the moon is like floating in some kind of fluid, and it's being buoyant.
One dude told me it was Aether.
I mean, how do you have the Earth's shadow?
Well, Aether is a fluid.
On the moon? You know, like sun, Earth, moon in a row. You know.
Well, first of all, not only they don't have a model, they don't even have a cogent explanation of anything. I mean, even if you ask them these kind of questions, heavy, they're going to be like, well, reasons.
Yeah,
all the bastardized science to the point where it's not even science anymore. That. But I mean, I'm very happy that these people are admitting they don't have models. And then Ronnie is going to have a little hangout explaining why we don't need models. And actually, Betty actually says models are pseudoscience.
Really?
Really? Yes. Quote.
Having a model for your own position is pseudoscience.
She gets that from John the Independent Variable.
Oh, the fucking gee, no wonder.
Yeah,
okay.
Models are so models are explanations, and explanations are pseudoscience. Good job, flat earthers.
I don't understand.
You know, I would like to know how we get the day and night with the flat Earth.
Well, daytime, nighttime, sexy. That's how we get it.
Yeah, the sun is a spotlight.
I've heard the daytime, nighttime thing. They have an explanation for that. It's terrible and it's not even remotely scientific, but they have an explanation for it.
I think you're being very unfair because actually there's a lot of material written on this by a very famous author, and I think you're being very disingenuous to reject it.
Eric Dubay?
No. Terry Pratchett.
Who?
You never heard of Terry Pratchett?
That name sounds familiar. Hold on, let me look him up. Terry.
He's an actor, right?
No. He's an author. He's a British author who unfortunately died a couple of years ago. Amazingly prolific on the subject of flat Earth.
He wrote fantasy novels.
Well, I mean, I know Larry Niven. He wrote Ringworld, which would be similar.
No, Terry Pratchett writes satirical fantasy novels.
And Trollbridge.
Based on something called Discworld.
Oh, I have heard of that. Yeah, I have heard of Discworld. Yeah.
This is funny. Death and what comes next. The sea and the little fishes.
That's by far the best character.
Theater of Cruelty in Trollbridge.
So Paul Agila actually met his first real life flat earther the other day. He said in a pub. That must have been interesting. I have never met one in real life, so I at least that I'm aware of. I may have, but I don't think so.
I have.
What is it like?
It's like your brain melting from the stupidity. It's like your whole head feels like it's on fire because you just want to punch something because you can't believe that humanity has devolved to such ideas.
What? Well, where'd you meet this person at? Was this at a club or something?
Remember we went to no, I went to Palm Desert and I went up to the sky deck near Idlewild, and then that guy was standing on the deck with some woman, and he was like, "See, this proves that the Earth is flat." And they were looking over Coachella Valley, and I was like, "Face palm, face palm."
I don't know how these people.
Well, if you do interpret the Bible literally, you could do that interpretation, of course.
I agree with that,
and I do think that Brett Keane and his friends are flat earthers. I do believe so.
I don't know. Is Brett Keane a flat earther? I haven't talked to that guy in a year, man. He alienated me, and I just haven't bothered to even do anything with him.
Last time I talked to Brett Keane, he called me trash, and then that was that.
Just tell him to fuck off and then eject him.
It's quite interesting actually because if you look at
I don't care.
You look at the translation for the word in the Bible that some people argue is for sphere and some people argue is for the flat Earth. All it actually describes, it has three basic meanings. One is a compass, like an inscribing compass, as opposed to a navigational one. The second meaning is circuit. The third meaning is vault, and the last meaning is circle. As opposed to the word sphere, which is in Hebrew, and I'm going to pronounce this horribly, which I think is derch.
Yeah, I know that there's a different word for circle and sphere in Hebrew.
Yeah, because shulch is circle and derch.
But even still, I can understand why they would use the word disk. When we look at the sun, we see a disk. We get that, right? That doesn't mean they actually thought it was two-dimensional or that it was a disk and not something that was roundish, you know. So
yeah, but even though, I mean, the Bible talks about the four corners of the earth. I mean,
right, but again,
that I would actually say is a red herring, because when it talks about the four pillars that support the earth, it's really talking about four particular people from the Bible. It's
I
more
take it
a reference
allegorically.
of that's an allegorical piece of text. It's not a literal piece of text. But when they mention, I think it's in Isaiah 22:14. But again, forgive me if I'm wrong. It's somewhere around there when Isaiah talks about looking at the circle of the earth. That is being very literal. He's talking about what he sees.
Yeah, that part I don't think is allegorical, and I think General had made it, or excuse me, I know it wasn't General, it was Floyd made a case for that. Yeah, John Doe says try to get Eric to buy on or debate on. No, he won't, and none of these flat earthers will. I almost stopped completely trying. I mean, they'll get some of the ones like Spurkismo and those guys, but any of the bigger ones that promote this shit, they don't like to go on these things.
I think they know better.
They get ever since Reds was kicking their ass and Jerrism lost like a huge amount of following. They kind of said, "Oh fuck, we need to not engage these guys because they're pointing out the fact we're idiots." So,
oh yeah,
Red is such a smart guy, and he really, I mean, I am so impressed by the level of research he does.
Yeah, well, he has a fascination with this. He to him it's kind of interesting why in this day and age people think the Earth is flat. His mind is boggled by the amount of stupidity that we run into here. And the link to get in is actually in the live feed. I'll put it again. Just go ahead, click it.
No, Tony was saying it keeps saying it's off air.
How's it off air? No, people are commenting in the live feed. Of course, not off air.
He needs refresh, Tony. Yeah, it's still on there.
Yeah, it's probably the disabling effect of the flat Earth.
Oh,
link is in the chat. They're DDoSing me.
I'm very curious. Where is the pole, or where are the poles on a flat Earth? Because if they don't believe in gravity, that's fine. But do some of them believe that we still have electromagnetic field? Like that's what I'm very curious about, because it's one of two things. If the poles are on like the sides, like kind of like a side of a pizza dish, I guess, then the effect of the magnetic field would be the same no matter where you went, because you'd be at the 90-degree angle, perfectly perpendicular. If it was at the top or bottom, then I don't think it would induce an electric field, would it?
Well, the thing is, we could obviously map out the gravitational gradient on the surface of the Earth. We can tell that the magnetic field changes depending on where you are. We know this.
Yeah, but on a globe Earth. But I'm talking on a flat Earth.
Well, on a flat Earth, that's the problem. Again, they don't have a model. How does this happen on a flat Earth?
And that's what I want to know, because many of them go, well, I want to see this for myself. So, well, you could take a Gauss meter and figure this out yourself. But I'm trying to set up a scenario in which they can do it, but I don't know where the poles are. So I can't say, well, the poles are here, because some of them might be side pole flat earthers or top and bottom pole. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I have no idea. And so I could say, well, you could set these predictions based on where the poles are, and I think either way, either you're not going to get anything, or you'll get the same results if the poles are on the side.
No, I think the one argument I heard that I loved, which was brilliant. Well, obviously the North Pole is at the North Pole, and that's at the center of the flat Earth. And obviously the South Pole is equally distributed around the rim, so it's just always guiding you to the rim. And then I pointed out, well, then how the hell do you navigate south? Because you got a problem there.
I do think we have to consider the possibility that some of these people are actually trolls. I mean, we can. To me, it's kind of crazy to believe the Earth is or the universe is 6,000 years old, or deny evolution. But you know, when we're talking about flat earthers and we give them credence, it's somehow. I mean, what's the next step? Are we going to talk about the stork theory? I mean.
Well, I talked to a lot of the people that go to Earth discussions and stuff like that. They gave me a good estimate. They said that, I think if I remember correctly, about 25% of the people they run into are complete trolls. They don't believe this with a shit. And they said even the most of the other ones don't really buy into it, but they like messing with people. But they're not quite sure. They don't care one way or another. And then you have about a quarter that actually buy into this stuff, right? And they are the absolute morons, because they are not even buying into it, as they're actually producing misinformation in order to support their buying into it, right? So those are the ones that are the worst, because they are actually producing videos they know are dishonest.
Well, see, we only have one pole. It's a monopole at the North Pole in the center of the disk, and there's no south pole, so it always points north.
Yeah, well, if you buy into like the bar magnets thing, then you obviously have an opposite side. And according to flat earthers, we live on a one-sided disk. I don't know how that works.
Also, flat earthers who live in the southern hemisphere think it's the opposite. They think Antarctica is in the center and then the Arctic is the outer edge. But I just don't understand how you guys like give so much attention to these people. Like
it's fun.
The way to shut them down is to just ignore them. And it's kind of like debating whether or not, you know, the sky is blue. It's just such a waste of time, in my opinion.
Well, I agree with you, it's a waste of time, but let me clarify. If you ignore them,
if they had a competing model, then it would be an interesting discussion. But they have no competing model.
Right, and they admit
So
to that.
like,
but here's the thing: if you ignore them, Jackie, they proliferate. It's the fact.
Yeah, and that's
seen this happen. If you ignore them,
That's-
they actually convince other people, and it's a domino effect.
It's
I'm
something
going to
that,
Gandhi and say, for ignorance to persist, good men need but do nothing.
yeah, and that's one of the discussions we were having in my physics class, is that the problem is that we really haven't been paying attention to it, and so scientific illiteracy is now a trend. Like now it's become political. Like you can have positions on whether a scientific fact is true or not, you know, or is valid, or whatever you want to call it.
It's almost considered to be, you know, cool to do so, right? Go against the mainstream,
trendy,
you know. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, and
I
especially
think-
in this political climate that we're in, which demonizes science, right? It really does demonize science.
I really want to chime in on the poll thing when you get back to it.
Okay.
Hold on. I don't mean to suggest like ignore it, as in let's pretend it's not a problem. That's not what I mean. I mean, here on the internet, most of these people are probably trolls, and who are we convincing, you know? But I think the proper way to go about it, if we're really so concerned about scientific literacy and actually believing science, is to tackle the education system and to actually like be activists in the sense of making sure that kids in schools know how to do the scientific method, they know how to and I just don't see how giving people on the internet this kind of attention helps that.
Okay, Jackie, are you doing any of that? Are you an activist for education? Are you helping kids understand critical thinking and that sort of thing? No. Okay, then shut up about how I'm wasting my time. No,
I'll tell you that I had coffee this morning.
I say it lovingly, of course. But, you know, we hear this a lot about, oh, it's a waste of time to talk to this creationist. It's a waste of time to talk to the... Well, look at, people have time. They waste their time in lots of different ways. The vast majority of people are wasting their time watching TV, right, or playing video games, or watching YouTube live broadcasts or Twitch or whatever of other people playing video games, right? Like, this is, what are we going to do, right? I mean, yes, you're right, Jackie. We could put our efforts in better places, and we all should. But, you know, when we come on the internet, these are the kind of things we want to do. And, I mean, I react to that because it's pretty much a comment on video.
Yeah, but it's a comprehensive. It's a comprehensive program that people have to have, right? We attack things from a lot of different fronts. Everybody does their little part, and the fact that we have actually made it some kind of impact on certain people to convince them that the Earth isn't flat or the Earth isn't 7,000 years old, or just to get involved more in science, you know, it is better than nothing, right? I mean, we all have our limitations of what we can do, and we all want to spend our time the way we want to spend it. But it is a coordinated effort, and it's comprehensive. I mean, we're not be getting involved in the actual educational system because I don't have the means to do so. So I can do my part this way, and I think everybody else here kind of does the same thing.
And lots of good does come from it, right? I mean, we've made this observation before about how much we've each learned from each other's areas of interest and areas of expertise.
A lot.
Yeah, right. I mean, these guys sometimes give us a platform to learn some really interesting stuff. I was saying the other day about, you know, learning about different areas of science. And then now in the last couple of years or 3 years with the presuppers showing up, and now it's epistemology. Like, I didn't give a shit about epistemology 3-4 years ago. And now I think, that's actually an interesting question. Watch this segue. And it turns out that there's a small portion of unbalanced Robertsonian translocations that lead to a small portion of down cases.
Which
About
we're
4.5%.
probably going to forget another year from now because it's so trivial, but whatever. It's like, we know
well,
now,
I'll remember.
4.5% have trials.
I remember that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I feel like I should have known. Yeah, translocation is something I should have known. Whatever. It's neat. We learn sorts of. I didn't know what Robertsonian translocation. I've been trying to remember lately if I'd even ever learned about it in school. I don't think I did, but whatever. Oh, you did? Okay. Which is funny. That's where I learned it from too.
Yeah,
and I couldn't wrap my head around that because her name is Fiona Roberts. And she was talking about these Robertsonian translocations. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, can we just start making up crap? But so just on the learning thing, I want to get back to the polls thing because I just noticed your Hangout, so I went back to the beginning and I heard you guys talking about the polls. I thought, there's no chance they're talking about that now. And then when I clicked back to where you were talking about the polls again. So somebody, I'm sure, has already said by this point that their view of the geographic poles is that basically you take your sphere, like it's on a beach ball, and just cut out the South Pole and then stretch the whole thing out so it's the shape of a dinner plate. That's your map, right? Mm-hmm. So the actual shape of the Earth is flat like a dinner plate with little upturned edges. The very center of the plate is what in our mapping we call the North Geographic Pole, and what our geographic South Pole is now, instead of it being a point, it's actually the rim that's stretched out around the circumference of it, a little bit raised up because there's a 200-foot ice wall, and that's why the water doesn't run off the edge. I'm sure someone explained that already. Okay, so the actual magnetic field generally is not explained by the flat earthers because they don't understand what a field is, what field lines refer to, but there's a really simple solution to it. You know how when you do a winding, when you're making a transformer, so you got like a ring, and then you wrap coils around the ring?
Yeah, that'll be your end.
Yeah, so basically take your flat dinner plate and punch a hole in the middle of it, or not exactly the middle, a little off to one side, and that hole is going to be your magnetic North Pole. And then wind it across the top surface, underneath, and then back up through the hole and around and around and around and around. So you have all these radial lines coming out. And that would represent...
I've got a lovely image up for you, Hog.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you've got the polar azimuthal projection. Now somebody's math homework. What am I looking at?
So, okay, so
the right guy.
The flat Earth looks like that. Okay, and then that's the ice wall. So... Okay, and so you just wrap it. You say, and the radial lines, I guess, the one that looks like a spider web would be kind of a somewhat accurate depiction of that.
Yeah, that's actually the UN map. That's the UN logo. Is that azimuth for you? And this is their conspiracy theory piece. You see.
Well, okay. So,
flat earthers, I do listen to you. I really do listen to you.
So, with that, the field strength would then still be the same.
Well, how would it be distributed?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because if we were talking about the flux, if we were trying to measure the induced. No, actually, because it's not moving through the field.
I gotta think about this. It's not induced current. Yeah, here's the thing. See, when you're talking about a flat earther, it has never taken any kind of course. It has no idea what a magnetic flux density. It doesn't know what permeability is. Doesn't know what induction is. How do you relate these concepts without starting at the very, very basics of here's a wire. This is what happens when we coil the wire. This is what happens when we put
move a
an
magnet
iron
around.
core in it. You know, this is how the current works. Without going to the very basics, I don't know how you ever even get to the point you say, what's your model for magnetic flux gradient across that disk, right? I mean, you can't get to that point yet.
And just to avoid confusion, I made reference to the windings in a transformer, not because I'm saying that's actually, you know, that there's any transforming going on or that the coil has something to do with it. I literally was using that as just an illustration. Forget that's metal when you do it with a transformer, that it's actually insulated little thin bits of wire. Instead, think about, you got your pie plate or what do you call it, picnic paper plate, and you punch a hole in it, and then you're running yarn through it. Okay, let's just get the whole magnetism thing off the table. The reason I'm mentioning winding the yarn around like that is because I'm just saying, if you wanted to draw the flux lines, that's the way they would look. But where that falls apart is because remember that those lines, just like the contour lines on a topographic map, the distance between the lines is meaningful. You don't just put the lines on to say, well, this is the direction of the magnetic flow, or this is the direction of, you know, level when you're on a contour map. The distance between them refers to the density of the lines in any region is very meaningful. And the problem is, since you're winding it around, like around the middle over and over again and around the edge of the plate, that means that the lines are very, very far spaced apart at the South Pole. So the magnetic field would be very, very weak. And then as you get to the pole, your lines all converge together at the pole. And if you have even slightly detectable magnetism at the South Pole, you know, the ice wall that surrounds your dinner plate Earth, by the time you get to the North Pole, the density of those lines would mean that the magnetism in that area is worse than you would discover inside any MRI machine. You know how they always tell you, like, oh, have you got any piercings, or, you know, like it would be distorting to be in that much magnetism.
From your blood.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty potent.
Hogtight just couldn't convert me to flat Earth.
I did.
So what you're saying is flat Earth is true.
Okay.
That's why there are no satellites on flat Earth. The North Pole sucked them up.
Yes,
And
I'm
anything
gonna.
that comes within range, there should be a mountain of planes and boats and stuff and fillings and things.
Well, it's funny. We have Nestle here. Nestle was trying to engage Betty as well on some evolutionary stuff, and Nestle. I mean, did you gather the same things we did as far as her knowledge from like science and physics, that what she was talking about biology was just equally inept? Oh, he can't talk right now. Yeah, he wanted to engage Betty as well, but again, Betty was pulling this. Oh, well, you have to give me your model, and then I will show you why it's wrong because reasons.
No, I was actually thinking of doing. We have STEM night at the college that I'm at, and I was thinking about doing something like this for STEM night, so, like illustrating what the Earth magnetic field would be like on a flat Earth. But
would it be equally distributed, like that pie thing that he was talking about, right? I mean,
I don't know.
You would be claiming that it would radiate out from a pole and be flat, like you said. Let's say you take, if you had a pie disc, like you said, you put a yarning needle with yarn through the middle, you kind of pull it all the way over to the edge and pull it through. You're gonna have this nice flat lines of flux that goes through, and you keep on like doing that all across the pie plate. You're gonna have this equal distribution of magnetic fields, but that's not where we see on the actual planet, though. We actually know there's quite a bit of variation in contours with the actual magnetic field.
No, in that model, sorry, you wouldn't get it equal. It'd be equal as you went around, and then when you went to the North Pole, it would be extreme.
Yeah,
it would be extreme, and it would be barely detectable, if at all, at the quote unquote at the ice wall. Now, I mean, in reality, and somebody got the diagram of the actual, like, Earth as magnet, show the flux lines. It is true. And this is it's an easy thing to confirm. You want to travel to an unpleasant place, but it's relatively easy to confirm that there is actually more magnetism, let's call it that, like a stronger magnetic field in northern Canada than in southern Canada. For most of Canada,
Tesla.
What's that?
You'd feel more Teslas in Canada as opposed to the United States.
Well, no, not for most of it. Literally, the magnetic field is pretty much indistinguishable between Canada and the U.S. But there are a lot of places you go up north, and like there's noticeable differences with equipment that because of the increased magnetism, and it's really pronounced in the atmosphere. It's actually the higher up you go, the more you notice a really high density in it. So much so, in fact, most people, I think you know, I'm not going to explain. I mean, I want to explain the borealis effects, or sorry, the auroral effects, because it's a kind of an amazing thing to see. And if you haven't seen it, well, come visit, because it's kind of cool. But where the auroral effects actually happen, even though, so for example, if you're in Edmonton, you can see them. That's not where the effect is. It's actually much further north and high up. And again, this is going to be one of those things that I'm taking on faith. I've had it explained to me that the reason that happens is because of the high magnetic density in the above the magnetic pole. I'm taking other people's word for that. But
it hits
sorry, one more quick point. One more quick point. This also happens at the South Pole.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the critical difference. So under either model, the pie plate, yarn flux lines model, or the actual thing we do for the Earth, you are going to find increased density at the North Pole. It will be a noticeable effect in a globular Earth, but a crippling effect in the flat Earth model. And then at the South Pole, you would get, again, a noticeable increase at the South Pole under the globular model. But under the pie plate model, magnetism would pretty much go away. So anybody knows do you get effects in the South? I don't know, never been.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask. It seemed like if you have it happening in the north, you'd have the same thing in the south.
You don't get aurora borealis in the equator. You don't get the latitude I'm at. You don't even get aurora borealis. It doesn't get down that far by any means.
You don't get the aurora borealis.
In fact, even in Washington, I don't think it even went down that far. I think it kind of stopped at the Canadian border. There was like the lowest. There's like 20 degrees, I think, latitude.
Yeah, you got to be pretty. I mean, even most parts of Canada, you can't see it. You got to be pretty far north. You can once in a while see it from a place as far south as Edmonton, but for the most part, you need to be much further north. And they're amazing. But it's funny because I didn't really appreciate it until I traveled away and met other people who'd never seen it before. But it was like going outside and looking at snow and being like, wow, that's amazing. Like it's just something you see when you're there. But when I say in the south, I don't mean southern Canada. I don't mean California or Texas. And you're talking about the borealis, the aurora borealis. There are other auroral effects that once you're, like, I think somebody from Australia, they just have a different name for it.
Yeah, it's not
the borealis.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just taking it on faith because that I've never seen. I can confirm for you, I have eyewitness testimony. The aurora borealis is a real thing, and but they say I don't know. I saw a post this morning about how Australia isn't real. So I don't know. I don't want to take it on faith.
Wow. So the people that are calling or people that come to this hangouts that are from Australia are shills
for the non-existent Australian government.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I knew kangaroos were sent here from hell.
Are you casting aspersions on Rob Beasley? Yeah, anyway, I mean, speaking mathematically though, Hogtie, kind of transformation into a flat Earth, right?
There are many.
Yeah.
There are many. I want to answer.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, because this is something Arcane asks me all the time. He says, well, then why do they use why is it, if the Earth is really round, why do pilots always use flat maps? Why do ship navigators always use flat maps? Really? Have you ever sat in an airplane? You ever tried to fold up a fucking globe and put it in your coat pocket? Right? This is the nature of the beast. We have to think of ways of representing our round Earth in meaningful, accessible ways that can be folded up and put in your little flight briefcase thing.
Arcade is strictly a troll. I don't think he even believes in
it gets better than that, because when's the most common time you see the aurora borealis? It's in winter, isn't it?
That's mostly my view. Is it's mostly for atmospheric effects. You see it in the summer as well, but it's mostly for atmospheric.
And
effects.
at the peak of the solar cycles, and when there's like
and the
here's the other
australis happens between March to September. Most common in March to September, which is their winter.
Okay, well, sorry. I actually got me curious about this now. I want to say something about the map projections first, and then I have to go. I just made it to the.
Because I was just thinking that's then reflected on the tilt of the Earth's axis to the sun as it goes round, because it's a globe. That's why you have more frequent in the winter in northern hemisphere, more frequent in the winter in the southern hemisphere.
Oh, in terms of orientation of the solar wind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, but my understanding of, or my guess would have been.
That's a guess.
You got to remember. Okay. Well, try this for a guess. Where I come from, in end
In
of
his
June,
lands.
my lands. At the end of June, you have 22 hours of sunlight, and there's no night. There is a period of twilight that you get for about 3.5 to 4 hours, but there's no night period. So you say, well, at the end of June, you don't really see the northern lights. Well, of course not. The fucking sky is blue all day, literally.
Are you East Coast or West Coast?
Right in the middle.
Oh. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to shut up now because I think I know where we are.
Yeah, and so I don't take my word for it. I mean, you do see them. You do see them really all year round, but you really don't see them that much in the summer. But in my view, that's because you get to that stretch of the year where it just doesn't get dark enough to really pronounce the colors against it. Whereas in the winter, we have a period of about 8 to 9 hours of where the sun is above the horizon. I won't say up because that is not completely up. And then for the rest of the day, it's just darker than pig's ass. So if you get any light, you get a bright moon or some bright stars or the northern lights, it's captivating, right? It's interesting because you don't get a lot of light. There's also, we were talking about grain the other day, but whatever. We also have different species of grain that grows super fast in like nearly 24-hour light. But anyway, never mind. So the mapping projection thing, and then I gotta go real quick here, but the yes, of course, you can create mapping projections. You can say, well, here's my dinner plate model, and then here's my globular model. Can I create a mapping projection? Mapping projection is just a one-to mapping rule to say, well, this dot is going to be this dot, and this dot's going to be that dot. Therefore, this line segment's going to be from there to there, and this dot on the bottom is actually going to be a circle around the edge. Mapping projections are always possible, and there are different mapping projections for different applications. And I can tell you that nobody that's going to actually do sort of like some land measurement or something would never do it based on an azimuthal equidistant projection. There you get local, you use something like a transverse Mercator projection, and you only use a very narrow window of it. Because if you ever look at the, here, I'll do this now. Look up the UTM, Universal Transverse Mercator projection on the Wikipedia page, and look at what Texas looks like. And you're going to be like, this is the shittiest in the world. Why do people praise this? Then realize that the UTM mapping projections, plural, is actually a system of maps. Each zone is 6 degrees wide. And so there's 60 zones as you go around. I think it's 60. Yeah, 6 times 60, yeah. Each zone is 6 degrees wide. And the one that's shown on the wiki page traditionally is the one that works extremely well in the UK and sucks balls for this in California, places like that. So basically, actual mapping projection, because if you're working in an area, you get the mapping projection that works best to project your area of the round Earth onto a flat map. And if you're doing large navigation, well, then you might use some variation of a Mercator projection or something, and then know that your distances are always going to be wrong. So, my answer here is then, yes, of course you can do a mapping projection of this to that. But when you go from round to flat, you're going to lose something. You're going to be able to preserve something, and you're going to lose something. So you might be able to preserve azimuths, but then you'll lose distances. Or you can preserve distances, but then you'll lose direction, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, I wasn't talking about mapping projections. I was kind of talking about do things like think of C as being variable and big G as being variable. Then, of course, you can always make mathematical transformations which would aid the observations of gravity and curvature.
Okay. Sure, yeah, if you're willing to give up on the fabric of space and time, then
give up on, you have to include so many extra assumptions that just by
but
Occam's razor you could dismiss it. But that's not to say that it can't be done. That's not to say
Simon,
that it can't
they
be done.
think the Earth is flat, and then you're going to try and explain it to them in mathematics.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I'm glad I stuck around for, but I do have to go. So see you guys.
Sorry, guys.
See you.
I beg your pardon, Druss?
I said you're trying to explain to someone who believes the Earth is flat, and you're trying to prove it with mathematics. And there is a fundamental problem there, that if they understood the math, they would know that the Earth is not flat.
Sure. Yeah,
absolutely. If they understood anything.
By Occam's razor, they would know, not by maths. I mean, that's the point. They wouldn't know by mathematics. They would only know because they have to add in extra assumptions to the model to make it correct to observation.
But you know, even I'm sorry, how heavy?
It's a subtle difference, but nonetheless, you know, it's worth pointing out, because when everybody goes, well, there is no mathematical model, so there's nothing they can say. It's, well, yeah, but they could invent one. I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is it doesn't make sense to invent one, because the one that has been discovered or invented.
I was just going to say that one of the dumbest things that I've heard come out of this flat Earth thing is, like, well, don't you know that pilots, when they're flying, you know, they have to keep turning down every so often.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they talking about? Do they think that a plane can, if it stays straight, that it's gonna, if the Earth is round, it's gonna just fly off into outer space? No. That's impossible.
I'm going to fall towards the Earth unless.
Well, they don't understand level flight, right? They don't understand that level flight is equidistance from the center.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't like that, you'd have to add thrust, and you would actually go into outer space. But you need energy to do that, right? You need thrust to do that.
But you know, they check their altimeter, and besides, if you don't increase your thrust and don't get bigger wings or whatever, you're going to stay at a pretty much even level anyway, going around the round Earth. Right.
Well, that's because you have trim.
And also because you have gravity.
Yeah, gravity's going to keep you equidistant from the center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on your thrust and
depending on the amount of energy you expend against the weight that you're trying to move through, whatever. Yeah.
You throttle back, you're going to come down. You throttle up, you're going to you stay even. You're going to pretty much stay even. I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The more energy you use, the more energy you have to either go faster, go higher, or go down faster. You know, use the energy of descent to increase your speed as well. Versus your
anyway, so the reason I say about the model, just to go back to the reason I say about the models, is because assume there is no model, right? Then you're not, you know, there's no way to disconfirm their actual claims. Like we're saying in this particular case, they're saying the birds come down. Well, that's part of their model.
Well, they don't have a model, Simon. That's where that's the whole point. That's the whole point of this hangout, is to say that they really don't have a model. And
but they don't
the only thing, right? The only thing that they have is
as I just said, Steve, any model they could come up with,
could
come up with one. That's the point I'm making. But they don't make so many assumptions in the model to make it fit data.
Yeah, but they don't bother to come up with one, and the only thing they do have is a gross misunderstanding of basic concepts, right? And that's the problem.
That might be on an individual level. Sure, that's on an individual level. I agree with you. I'm not trying to about putting individual people down here, right? What I'm saying is when you go against these people, just to say, well, you don't even have a model. Well, that's fair enough, because individually they may not, but that doesn't mean there isn't a model out there. And as I'm saying, I think there is a model out there, any sense, right? Because you have to make so many assumptions.
I don't think there's a model out there. I think they have attempts at models, but I don't think there's a model. No,
sure.
I have never seen a flat Earth model, and that disk is not a model. That's just not a model. That's okay. This is what we think it is. Then okay, what do you want to add to that model to demonstrate that? You need an explanation,
right?
You know, that's what a model.
You could say, you know, okay, we'll say let's assume C is variable. What would that do for the universe?
If what?
If C was a variable.
Well, it would ruin the fine structure constant. It would ruin the magnetic and electric constants.
That's all within your
atoms
model.
would cease to form.
Models, Steve.
Yeah,
that's all in your model.
What's that?
That's all in your model,
yes.
Steve. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you do something like that, you can construct another model mathematically, which makes sense of the observational data. But you have to make a lot more assumptions than you do in the what I would call the proper model, right, or the scientific model. Once you go down the thing, just saying there is no model is not an argument for me, right?
Well,
it's a subtle point.
Statement of fact. Flat Earth is a model. That's a statement of fact. That's not an argument. They've never presented a model. I don't know what you're arguing, because flat earthers literally have no model.
Are you saying, Steve? If you're going to just keep doing that to me.
What? You're breaking up.
It has to be true in order for it to be a model.
No, but if you want to have an argument, you need to have a model. You need to have an explanation of what your argument is. Just asserting it's flat is not an argument. It's not an explanation.
As I made that distinction already, Steve, you're going round and round, and you're not really addressing what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but like I said in the beginning here, you have to have some sort of proof. I mean, it seems like you guys have studied the counter arguments for round Earth more than I have, because you can just use 10-year-old logic. I mean, what happens when you put on your hiking shoes and walk in a straight line?
Yeah.
What will happen in a flat Earth? And what about the fact that when a ship sails away, you lose the sight of the boat first and the mast last? And then that is because the Earth curves. And how come and how come when you stand on a tall mountain you see further than when you stand on the ground? And and I mean, they have to make the moon landing a conspiracy theory or something, because we have actually seen the Earth from the moon. So I mean, the amount of effort to make apologies for a flat Earth goes beyond my knowledge. But it seems like you guys have studied the counter arguments more than I have.
Well, I've seen people put forward some pretty nutty things, right? Which, on the face of it, are more difficult just to get in and go. You got to have a lot more knowledge, right, to dispute them. Now, the way you end up disputing them, as far as I'm concerned, right, because if you're going to do it empirically, well, of course, right, you just say to someone, well, go and walk around the world, for goodness sake. Obviously, right, we're assuming that any model that they could come up with is wrong, right? That's my presupposition as well. So I'm not trying to go down that route.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
What I'm trying to go down the route is that conceivably there could be some kind of mathematical model. It makes sense to me. Could be a model. Okay, not that there is a model, not that there is a model which is provable. Mathematically, if you add in enough unknown variables, you're going to be able to justify virtually any kind of observation.
I don't think so. I disagree with that.
Right. Virtually. Right.
Yeah, and I also maintaining that.
So now, how far do you go with that then?
Flat earthers. I'm also maintaining flat earthers do not have a model. Period, and that's the whole point. Whether they can make one or not, I don't care. If they could, let's do it. Let me find a flat earther that can make one. But the problem is I can't find a flat earther that can make one. I don't believe, I don't believe you could coherently produce a model that explains observations, but I'm willing to look at one if they have one. But, good luck with that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Good luck with that. But as I said, the point I made, right, which, this was an echo chamber, so there was no point in just going down and slagging them off, right?
Well, that's
the reason I brought up this alternative thing, which is to say, well, just saying there's no model, right? Well, what do we mean by model then? Yes, okay, something which scientifically, well, that's in your model, it does that, of course, and that's fair enough.
No, model means explanation, Simos. Model means explanation. I forget the word model. How about just an explanation? How do we explain what we observe?
So, again, to be a model? No, of course not. We can have a model which is false, right? We can have a model which is incomplete.
I do actually agree with Simons if he is making the argument that I myself is quite certain when I argue against the 6,000-year-old universe that I'm correct, and I'm quite certain that when I argue about biological evolution that I'm correct. In the same way, I'm quite certain that when I argue a spherical Earth, I'm correct against a flat Earther. But I do make the assumption that the scientists all over the world are correct, and the knowledge that I have gathered is correct also. So if that is the sort of the peak of the mountain, so to speak. I mean, if you talk about creationist, he's quite certain that the universe is 6,000 years old. I mean, he is certain of that, just as I am certain about the real age. And then we have a sort of how do we, okay, we have two views, and how do we determine who's right? In that sense, I think you are correct, that we assume things.
See, I don't agree with that at all. I don't think we assume that we're right. I think it's a conclusion, and that's not how you use the word assumption. Assumption gives you your platform to arrive at a conclusion.
Mm.
There's a huge difference. You can't just say my conclusion is an assumption. That makes no sense.
Well, and something else
is derived from assumptions.
The flat earthers do like the young Earth, young universe people do. You know, it's like, well, they're trying to say that math and science as we know it, and hasn't been shown to be correct or whatever it works, is wrong somehow, and they have to invoke some kind of special something, some kind of special math or force or power. Like it's not gravity that holds everything down; it's density. What? You know, so they have to come up with something outside of the realm of known science. You know, science that works to try to explain their stuff, and you know, that's all they can do. That's all they got.
But how in the world, excuse the pun, how can we ever have flat earthers if we know that we are correct and the evidence is on our side? How can we ever have people say that the universe is 6,000 years old? I mean,
simple, because they don't understand facts and they don't want to accept reality. These things are not debatable topics. The Earth's shape is not a debatable topic. It is a foregone conclusion that has been demonstrated ad nauseum.
Well, I actually have to correct you on that, Steve. The whole flat Earth movement started out as a debate topic, and then
it started off as a joke.
People actually started to buy into it after that.
It started off as a joke. Matter of fact, the Flat Earth Society was a parody organization originally.
No, I'm talking way before the Flat Earth Society. I'm talking back when Robotham actually started to push it as a legitimate thing. Before Robotham, it was just a debate topic, and that was it, just to exercise your debate skills. That's
I got you. You know, in other words, you're just saying, okay, practice debating something like this, even though they weren't seriously trying to debate. They were trying to hone their debate skills.
Right, and Robotham.
Okay, that's fine. I got you. But that's not legit. That's not legit. I'm using the word different than me, though. I'm using debatable as in something that is actually either side has a valid point, so we can actually say, okay, let's see who's correct. You're talking about we already know who's correct, but you're just honing your debate skills. That's a completely different thing.
Well, that's actually the history of the Flat Earth movement. Was it started out as just a debate practicing thing?
Yeah, I remember something like that too. So I do agree with you on that. Yes, but then they would bring in the most ridiculous things just to see how people would respond, and some of those ridiculous things people now have taken to heart.
Yeah, but you know, if we talk about evolution or the age of the Earth or anything like that, there could be some point for at least religious people to deny that, because if some portion of the Bible or the whole book is wrong, maybe the whole book is wrong. So I mean, they have to defend this with the nail and teeth. But you know, flat Earth has no end goal. I mean, what would be the point? I mean, we use satellites, for crying out loud. We have seen the Earth from the moon. I mean,
to be fair, my avatar is actually a picture of the Earth from a satellite.
It's because it's biblically.
Yeah, it's Amari.
Yeah. It's because it's biblically supported, right? I mean, that's where it comes from. Okay, so there were bishops, etc., way back in the 16th century or whatever, that were declaring this as.
Well, there's different than people back then that believed in flat Earth. I mean, I believe people in the Bible. I believe Peter probably thought
actually there's a correction there too.
Mainly Christian.
Didn't believe the Earth was flat. The church didn't believe the Earth was flat. They believed it was geocentric. They thought everything revolved around the Earth. Right. And that's what Galileo got nailed for, because he's like, no, that's not true.
Yeah, they thought it was a spherical shape, but they knew that much, but they thought that the heavens revolved around that using epicycles. But once you look at that model, it's like, wow, is that convoluted?
Yeah, the whole thing about the church believe that the Earth is flat has always been false. They have never thought it was flat.
No, I didn't say the church. I said that
this other guy did.
Like Peter.
This Simon guy said that.
Yeah, I was.
The church never officially endorsed flat Earth. No, they endorsed geocentrism, and some people still advocate that certain sects of it still do.
There was some time in the previous. My memories. I'll go look it up, but there was definitely a time when a bishop declared the Earth flat as theology, as doctrine, rather.
Well, depending on who you asked, some Christians will say, "Well, the Bible says it's flat." And the Bible says it's a sphere, around.
I just came in to just about to say that there are biblical flat earthers. They are out there.
Of course there are.
Well,
Mr. I mean,
Sean.
there is
Sean,
actually people who
sorry.
believe that the sun revolves around the earth too. I mean, this Wasolo guy believes that. I mean, Nephilim Free believes that. So
No, he doesn't believe that anymore. He changed his position on that.
okay.
Evidence. Get up to date. See what happens when you
Great.
haven't been around in forever.
Hey, Sean, is that a picture of the Earth where the eclipse is starting down in the lower right?
That's not when the eclipse happened. That's just one of the. That's actually from the September equinox, right before the eclipse. That it actually didn't capture that one. It captured the next one.
So you're saying it's CGI?
Yeah, because Australia looked pretty dark. I'm just wondering.
Well, you know, all in all, though, it is just to me amazing, though, that these people finally can start admitting they have no evidence, no model, no explanation, and yet still maintain their position. I find it to be fascinating that they can actually really promote flat Earth when they tell people, well, yeah, we have no model for it, and we have no evidence for it, but we can show why your model's wrong using shitty science. Okay, that's great. Moving on.
I think the problem is it's only the low-hanging fruit that really wants to defend their opinions against other people, because a lot of them kind of just like to do their own thing on their own channel and don't even bother with Hangouts and stuff like that. The ones that claim they have models probably don't even want to go on your channel.
Well, no, it's not that. It's that they have echo chambers. If you're a person who understands that the Earth is not flat, and you go over to any of these flat Earth Hangouts or online discussions, and you say anything in the live feed, you're blocked.
Yeah.
You're blocked. You're right off the bat. So they don't want anybody that can actually show why they're wrong. They don't invite them into the Hangout. They don't have open forums. They are very exclusive. They basically are the Clown Car Posse, only flat earthers.
I guess that debate I did with Jeranism on True Talk Radio, then I guess that was a rare occurrence in the
Jeranism is an exception, because Jeranism initially wanted the confrontation because he was getting Patreon for it. After Red's pretty much exposed him, he's no longer doing that. He doesn't have any interactions with people that disagree with him anymore. In fact, he doesn't even really put out that many videos anymore. His Patreon really got to cut down to a fraction of what it was, and now he's like
actually
homeless.
Steve, Jaren's reasons for stopping the lots and lots of small videos is because of the new method that YouTube pays for. They pay for by watch minute. They don't pay for video anymore. So that's why he's making these really long, like 2-hour videos, like 1 week apart.
When did that happen?
That happened with the new algorithm change.
When was that, though?
Like a month or 2 months ago, something like that.
See, I know they're doing different things. See, I've been in communication with YouTube, and I noted that my things went down to 0. Literally, as of March 16th, it went down to 0, right? And they said that there's new algorithms, but they didn't mention anything about the change of watch minutes there. And I wonder if but that doesn't make any sense. I have people watch my stuff for hours.
Well, you have what, one ad running through it?
But no. I haven't seen any ads in my videos.
Really?
Nope. I haven't seen a single ad of my video in weeks.
Then
if anybody else has, let me know.
Ad blocker.
No, well, people that don't have ad blocker.
I don't have ad block, but I don't watch your videos after they've been posted. I catch snippets of them while you're actually doing live.
Well, live would have video. Live would have advertisements too. Yeah, literally, my revenue from AdSense has gone to 0, but it's been made up for by other people on my Patreon, so I appreciate that. Especially Lamed increased his a little bit. Thank you, Lamed Student. You've been more than generous, and I do know people that have been very, very generous to my channel, and he kind of made up the difference. So,
check your video manager and see if it actually has see if the $ for the monetization is blacked out. It is.
No,
blacked?
it's not. No, it's green.
So why aren't you getting ads?
I don't know. That's why I've been going back and forth to YouTube. They're like, oh yeah, everything's good on our end. You're fully monetized. We don't see that you had 0 on March 16th. I'm like, here's my AdSense. It's 3 cents.
Oh,
it's been 3 cents I got that day.
AdSense is really, really flaky. I've noticed that because after I saw your part of your Hangout where you're talking about your monetization, I actually checked my AdSense, and it's saying I have 0, but my estimated YouTube income is like up to $16 a lifetime now. I mean, I don't make a lot.
Okay, but who pays you? AdSense, not YouTube.
Well, then something's going on between YouTube and AdSense then, because
right. I mean, because you don't get paid from YouTube. The YouTube gives you an estimate, but the AdSense is where you're making your revenue.
Well, they are going through a little bit of the advertisers. Advertisers are being a little bit hesitant to put their ads on YouTube videos right now.
My
So-
channel is considered to be ad friendly. I talked to the people. They said everything's fine on there, and there is monetized. And I don't know why I'm not getting any revenue from ads.
Then
I'm not
somehow-
seeing any ads.
I can only make a guess that YouTube's not communicating properly with AdSense on view counts and everything else.
That's probably true, and that's what I'm thinking.
Actually, Steve, I don't run ad blocker, and I always see adverts on your stuff.
You saw an ad in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, no, today. I saw one today when
I haven't seen any.
Like I said, to be fair, I did not see one when I actually started to watch this.
Yeah, but it's also regional. They might show some in Europe, and Americans may not have any. But yeah, I mean, I'll get like nominal, but I think my highest was 17 cents I had in the last 2 weeks, and the other ones have been 0. And again, not a big deal. It's been made up for, so I'm not like worried about it. But it's just kind of curious of that all of a sudden, as of 2 weeks ago, the ad revenue basically went to 0.
Well, going back to this whole flat earth thing and actually using monetization analytics as a reference point, I started monetizing my channel almost 2 months ago. And the sad thing is, and I know Jaronism's just butt chomping at the bit of this, but he's actually in like 3rd or 4th place behind Nibiru videos on my channel. And flat earth used to be really, really popular. It's behind Nibiru now.
It is diminishing, though. It is diminishing. There are some vocal opponents that are out there going adamantly trying to fight against flat Earth.
I wonder who that could be.
Yeah, obviously,
there's a whole bunch of people.
But Jeranism did lose a lot of money. I think, and I do credit Reds to have a huge impact on that, and you too, Sean. I mean, obviously.
I was gonna say I'm not chopped liver here.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm not throwing you out with the bathwater here. I mean, you without you guys, Reds wouldn't have the channel that he has too. I mean, Reds relies on experts as well as I rely on experts, or even people that are just like yourself, scientifically savvy. Because you're not an expert, no offense, but neither am I. Well, you are savvy.
Technically, you are correct. I'm not an expert.
Yeah, but you do. But you're very educated. I mean, you're very knowledgeable for somebody who really has not much of a formal education. I give you props. You do know your stuff, and I think you're autodidactic in that regard.
Plus, you also got
from the time I was a year and a half old until I was 15, I did nothing but read books. So.
Yeah. But see, people can pick that out, though. People can pick up on that, going, yeah, this person may not be formally educated, but they certainly have an understanding of these concepts, and that's much more that we do than we do with the flat earthers or the clown crow posse, because obviously we know that they do not have a basic understanding of these concepts. They just don't.
Well, the upside to my self-education that way is I'm able to take complex concepts and actually break them down to a layman term.
Yay.
Yeah.
It also shows you that to live by one book is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, and even if you're a Christian, I agree with that. I don't see how you can base your entire life on one book. I mean, I don't think God had intended you to do that. I mean, if God wanted you to be an uneducated moron, he wouldn't have created intelligence to begin with, right?
You never know.
Well, if God had wanted you to buy one book, I think it would be a bit thicker than the one he provided, and
Yeah,
probably a
let's
little
get
more.
Yeah.
I think it would be more of an instruction manual instead of a parable.
Yeah. I really like the way Sean, was it Sean Carroll, that said, if as a scientist, I write manuals, and my user manuals have to be understood. That's what I want from a user manual. The last thing I want is, parables and double speak and contradictions. These things don't make good user manuals. So whenever anybody says to me, have you read the book? I go, yeah, of course I have. Euclid.
So just FYI, Antonio's having a Hangout on morality. Like 10 people are watching. He won't let anybody in to have his
I want to
conversation.
talk
except for
about
silly
the
Samson.
babies.
The baby, you don't know how to make baby because you can't make baby. No, that's jungle jargon. But it's so funny because again, he won't let anybody in, and then he's like, "Oh, I want to have open dialogue on this stuff," and I'm like, "You are the most hypocritical son of a bitch I've ever met in my life."
No, he'll let people in, just that no one wants to participate, because I found out that even the video I was in was a waste of time because he won't even open up the comment section so people can give feedback to see how I did.
Right.
See how
He doesn't have the comment section. He
Like,
doesn't
what's
have
the point of going in there? That's the whole point.
He doesn't have the comment section. He doesn't have the like and dislike. He won't let Ruhif in. He won't let Van the Man in. He lets Silly Samson in. But I mean, and no offense to Thad, people kind of get tired of just you and MP and going in there. People don't watch this stuff that much when it's just like the same people over and over again. Obviously so.
Well,
that's why
that's
I have
on
a lot.
Antonio, not me.
No, I agree. No, it's nothing to do with you. Right. It's definitely not your fault. But you're right. It's on Antonio. And this is why they're killing their channels, because they're just not of interest. I mean, if Tony wanted to have an honest discussion about morality, he would come into here because he knows that he doesn't accept it, but he knows that in here we can have open dialogue. Thanks.
Or he'd feel too intimidated. It needs to be a room where it doesn't feel like it's one side.
Then he needs to grow some balls. I mean, these people are just
one person versus like 9 other people. I don't know if I'd want to do that either.
That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. You could have a lot of different people in here when it comes to those subjects. I mean, Ocean has differing views from a lot of people on morality. You can get Roof, I know, has some unique views on it. You can get General Han Solo. You can get Fiona, J.D. Kane. I mean, all these people have different positions when it comes to morality. There's no one size fits all.
I don't know. Maybe he just feels like they're all the same. Not saying he's right. Yeah. I'm just trying to put myself in the other person's shoes, which I know is kind of hard to do online because we just kind of look at our reasoning about things. But
no, I see what you're saying. But you know what? You go in there and they have 9 people in there. They're all against you. We do it. I used to do it. I used to go to Antonio's Hangouts, and I used to go to Ronnie's Hangouts, right? But you know, I didn't care that there was like 9 against me. I cared when you had some dipshit like Darwin's Deity came in and that hijacked the conversation, because I could actually have an interesting conversation with Antonio, and I would be like, okay, this is kind of cool. Let's talk about this. And then he would come in and start doing his precept shit, and then it went all to crap, right? And at that point, the conversation is done. The hangout's over, which I've said numerous times. So that's why I don't go in there any longer.
If I can backtrack us back onto the topic of your video or your...
Oh, be my guest, Sean. Go ahead.
Pure Anarchy asked, and I actually didn't hear this claim because it was before I joined in. He says Simos claimed he had seen a working flat Earth model that worked mathematically, and he would like to know where he's seen it. I would too. Yeah,
I would be interested in that. And I'd like to know what they mean by working mathematically. Mathematically for what?
I was told by Claim that the current globe Earth paradigm, the math that he needs to be unique, and our math doesn't work, or some bullshit like that. So maybe they have their own system of mathematics.
Drag, these are the people that think rockets don't work in space. I'm really questioning their understanding of mathematics.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking to a dude now on Facebook. I just gave him the link, and he's asking what proof do we have? What did he say? What's the point on elaborating on math to do so if you are physically unable to do so? Like, he says stupid shit. I don't even know what that fucking means.
What?
Okay, so he's talking like Ronnie.
So I tagged him. I said, "Hey, Louis, feel free to tag others who want to discuss the flat Earth with folks who know a little about physics." And then the reply was, "What's the point on elaborating on math to do so if you are physically unable to do so?"
You are physically unable to do math?
I'm not going to try to translate that.
Well, he and I had a discussion last night that math doesn't represent reality or some shit like that. And I'm like, so how do you go and buy groceries?
How does math not represent reality? Math is actually designed because it models reality.
I sat painstakingly explained. I was like, well, this is what we have to verify what we observe.
Yeah,
like,
math is just a way of explaining the numbers that already are there. It's not like we really invented too much.
Well, I had
just adding symbols to it.
Well, I think we actually invented numbers in a way, because I mean, for a long time, 0 didn't exist, right? The Arabs had to come up with that.
Yeah, but the concept of 0 technically was around.
Sure, the concept was
something. It means you have nothing of it.
And unless you're a Platist, and then you actually think the physicals have some kind of concrete.
Okay, well, let's not get into. No.
Yeah, but math was messy before we had 0.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I was looking again the other day when we had Landon come join us, and I wanted to brush up on the Riemann zeta function and the Riemann hypothesis, because I vaguely understood it, but I didn't remember exactly what it was. And after I reread it, I'm like, okay, I do kind of understand what this is. What I don't understand is why it's so difficult to solve. But when I was reading about why they have so many problems with it, it's complicated. It's very, very difficult. These maths are just, there's only a handful of people in the world that understand this stuff, right? It's not like the average person can do high-level mathematics like this. You just can't. Yeah. Because it takes years and years and years of precept upon precept to get to the point where you understand how to do the high-level stuff. You can't just start at cap 3,
I start about when we get out of basic trig. So.
Oh yeah.
I can do some basic trig, but once we start going to more advanced stuff, I get lost. So I'm free to admit that.
Yeah. I passed like high school pre-calculus with like 52%. I'm not a math person.
Well, that's still more than what flat earthers have, though.
Well, yeah, they can't even get 8 inches per mile squared right.
Yeah, I still don't understand how they don't understand the curve thing on that.
Oh, okay. I'll go through this.
How are they thinking about this, Sean? Because I never really did grasp how they're viewing this.
Okay, 8 inches per mile squared comes from Pythagorean theorem.
Sure.
And what it means is if you go and make a level line from your tangent at your feet, the distance you go out, if you go 8 inches per mile squared and you go vertically down, it'll actually take X amount of distance to actually get to touch the surface of the sphere again. It's basically making a right angle triangle with the apex of the triangle out in space.
I'm trying to visualize that. I know that. I know how the. I mean, I know that the 8 inches squared thing is. But I mean, how are they visualizing it? That they think that if you go a mile, you're supposed to go 8 inches straight down.
Yes, and that's technically not correct. Make a circle here. I'm gonna draw this out in paint.
Is that what they're visualizing? They're saying if I went a mile, I should be 8 inches lower than I was before. But we know that. I mean, didn't we figure out that I think it was 3 miles give you an 8 inch drop? 7.99, I think it came to be.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen so I can actually show this to you.
Talking about the Hawking experiment.
This is the 8 inches per mile squared and how they're misrepresenting it.
Okay.
Now, say you're standing at the top of the circle.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the horizontal line all the way out to your distance and then go straight down, that's how far this point will be below your feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it will literally make a rectangle. Oh, crap. I don't have my keyboard nearby. But it'll make a rectangle at your feet. And you get your going out from the tangent, straight down, going back in, and straight up. So it's this distance here is the same as here.
That's 8 miles squared.
That's 8 inches per mile squared. That will give you the triangle of how far below something is from your horizontal of your feet. Unfortunately, what they need to be calculating is the height of the observer, and we'll put a little guy here, and we'll put his target there. What they're looking for is how much is hidden by the horizon, which is here, this little line. That is not represented by 8 inches per mile squared.
Do they think that little line is 8? What do they think that little line represents?
This little line here?
Yeah.
They're thinking it's this.
Oh, wow.
That's why they keep.
Okay, that's a huge difference there. That that little line is what you're not seeing because of the curvature, and they think that little line should be that 8 inch drop.
The 8 inches per mile squared drop. That's what they're saying should be hidden by the horizon. But if you know the height of the observer and the height of the target and the distance of the target, you're actually drawing a line from here.
No, I get that. Totally get that. I was always wondering why they were having a hard time understanding this.
Because actually finding the tangent is actually hard math, and they don't want to do that.
No, that totally makes sense to me now. Are you guys getting this?
Yes.
Okay, because I mean before I was like, why are they so confused about this? I don't understand that.
So what are they not? I'm looking at actually let me look in the Hangout because there's a delay on the thing. So what are they not understanding? Because it's like, okay, well, are we searching for? Okay,
when they're doing 8 inches per mile squared, they're running a straight line out from the tangent of their feet, and then straight down to the surface of the sphere again. And they're saying, and that's considered the drop. It's how far below.
Why are you stopping at? Well, why do they start at the feet?
Because that takes no account for height of the observer.
Oh, okay.
It's literally
it just eliminates that variable.
Okay, all right.
When they actually do the trigonometry for it, they actually take the height of the observer, the height of the object, and then they actually go from the observer's eye, cross the tangent of the curve, and then come up to here, and then they see how much is actually hidden by the curve. And that's what they're not getting. They're misrepresenting the 8 inches per mile squared, saying that's how much is supposed to be hidden.
But it's not.
Like, I'm curious because I see the smaller triangle that you drew there that intersects with the right angle triangle, and the smaller one is the one that they're trying to use.
Why does it not let me undo? Come on.
Because I think I looked at it after. I'm talking to this guy. He just sent me another crazy reply, and my brain is full of fuck right now.
Let me.
But you know, the taller you stand, the more you see. I mean, how can
Right.
they?
I mean, if I make this
truly
guy
realize that.
But that
If I
makes
make
too much sense.
If I make the guy this tall, and you draw a line from his eyesight, well, down to the curve, but you'll still see more because that line is smaller now.
This is what we would expect on around Earth.
Yes.
But they say no. That's something that's a prediction that you would make on a flat Earth.
Well, they keep going back to the ages of not squared, and they're using correct math the wrong way.
Well, according to this
Way to
guy,
describe it.
well, I'll just listen to what this guy sent me, and I'm trying to
backwards. It might make sense more.
Yeah. So he sent me the first response was, "What's the point on elaborating on math to do so if you are physically unable to do so?" And I said, "I'm not even sure what that means." And so he replied, "How could the math be tested as legitimate if there's no technological apparatus to validate the math?
Because math is analytical."
Yeah, well, then he continues, how can you confirm that you're using the right mathematical approach? And
because it works.
So I said, well, what technology do you need to validate math? You can use pencil and paper. Physical objects can be used in lieu of the written form. I said 2 + 2 = 4 on paper and using oranges. That's the best way I can explain it.
Validate. I mean, mathematics is analytical. I mean, we define these things to be certain things, and we build it upon axioms. We don't use technology to validate basic mathematical things. We have to use technology for higher mathematics, sure, because it's a lot quicker for a computer to do calculations than us, right? I'm sure if we ever solve half these problems, it'll be done by a computer rather than us.
I got to share something else, something that was said in chat, and it's just a still of one of my existing videos. There is your horizon below eye level on a plane. I can't remember who said it in chat, but they said the horizon always rises to eye level. Clearly, it does not.
Well, yeah, but they can always just say, "Oh, look, the computer is programmed to do this to make you think that the horizon is above or below the actual eye level."
And you will never see a flat earther actually take a measuring device and test it. They'll make the claim, but they're not willing to test it. It's as simple as that.
Well, I mean, Hogtide used the same principle with his thematolite the other day to demonstrate the same thing.
Yeah, and there's no electronics in the thematolite, at least not if he's got an analog one.
Yeah, it's an analog.
Yeah, then there's no electronics in it, so they can't say it's CGI.
It's a very antiquated classic model or something.
So yeah, I had to show that because somebody in the chat decided to do the whole horizon rises to eye level crap.
Is that what's going on inside chat? I was looking at the live feed over at
well, somebody quoted it because they're just people are rattling off what the flat earther claims are, and somebody actually said it seriously. So I was addressing the person that said it seriously.
Do we have a serious flat earther in the live feed? Because that'd be awesome.
Let's see if I can go back and find him again.
Hey man, multiple personality. So what's going on in that failure of a Hangout Antonio's trying to run that he won't let anybody in?
Why do you keep going to it? I mean, I kind of gave up after I realized there's not going to be any comments like after the video's not live anymore.
Yeah, I'm curious. That's why.
Oh no, well, outside of the theological stuff, we were talking about some other stuff, and it was interesting, like games and stuff like that. So sometimes when you
weren't even in there.
No, I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about.
I'm talking about today.
Oh no, I wasn't in it today. I'm talking about it. Oh, I'm just talking about
right
now. That's why I'm going inside there.
Yeah, he's having a failed debate, or excuse me, not a failed debate, a failed Hangout.
It was Stephen Bradley that said that. You do not look down. Horizon rises to eye level.
Maybe he's not. Is he being serious?
I don't know.
Ask him in.
And anybody can join. See, unlike Antonio's Hangout, I allow anybody to join just about. So,
Stephen Bradley, if this took about 10 seconds for it to go through to the live chat, but were you being serious when you said that or no?
Do 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 do.
One of these things is not like the other. No, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think he's there anymore. Who knows? So it's funny. Antonio's Hangout's called the abysmal failure of the non-believer's morality, and it should be the abysmal failure of my channel. That's what he should name his Hangout. His channel's got a shit. I'm sorry, Antonio. You went to crap, dude. You really should have kept the open forum that you had, because now that you have isolated everybody and blocked people from your live feed and turn off your comments, it's just no point.
Yeah. This is coming from somebody who was, I think I am still technically allowed in his rooms, but there's no point.
Yeah, there's no point to go in there.
Yeah.
See, I
for the longest time, it was just me and multiple going in there because other people had given up.
Well, silly has gone in there, but other than that, yeah, nobody wants to go in there. It's just a waste of time. And then he deletes them most of the time anyways anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say he is a flat Earth. I mean, I'm looking at his channel. He's got playlists for flat Earth stuff everywhere. He's got liked videos everywhere.
Oh.
He's actually mirroring videos from flat Earthers.
Too.
But he disappeared from the live feed, so
I think he ran away from my picture. They tend to do that.
Probably. Hey, Steve, are you using a secondary program to broadcast this?
No, this is direct.
Can't seem to manage to broadcast direct. I have no idea what I'm doing wrong.
Okay, so on your channel, you want to be able to have a Hangout and directly broadcast it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to follow along with me, and I'll show you how to do it?
Okay, I just change my language to English, I suppose. It's easier to follow.
I don't speak Swedish. Yeah.
You don't?
No, really don't.
Okay, I'm under live stream and stream now. Is that
okay,
correct?
so you're under your content studio?
Yeah.
Creative Studio? Okay. So you go to Creative Studio and you're going to see a thing that says live streaming.
Yeah.
And you're going to see events, right?
I see. Yes, events.
Okay. You're going to say create new event.
So I go under events. You don't have any scheduled upcoming event. Okay.
Okay.
New live event. Okay.
Yeah. So it says create new live event. Cancel and go live now. See that at the very top?
Yes.
Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to fill in all that information, the title. You don't have to add a starting point if you can do it right now, but if you do this in advance, it doesn't work. It'll say you have to schedule for future time. So you only have about, I think, 5 or 10 minutes after you fill this out to actually get started. So you give a title, description, your meta tags. You put it whether it's public or not, and if you want to share it on G+ or Twitter. But here's the thing, which says type, right? You want it to say quick.
Oh, it's on custom by
right.
default.
Change that. Okay. That'll fix your problem.
Oh no, I'll try it. I will try it.
Yep. Now you fill out in when you say go live now, it'll bring up everything, and you just hit the start button, and it'll automatically go right to your channel. Is that cool? There you go.
Yeah, great.
So you just figured out how to do something that Nephilim Free still can't figure out how to do.
I used to be able to do it, but I haven't done it for so long, so I forgot it. And
perhaps because you used to go through Google Plus, right? You used to go through the HOAs.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing the evidence versus the universe part 3, and that is the kind of humorous way to regarding G-Man versus the world. You know, so I'm doing evidence versus the universe.
How many subs you got now?
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Yeah, I want to know. Come on.
Goddamn son of a bitch. I have 640.
640. So you're getting up there. You're getting close to that 1,000 mark. Paula G, I think, just broke it or is about to break it. So.
Shut up.
Dang,
hey, that's a big thing. Dude, listen. I have 1,146 subscribers. And out of that, less than, I think, 10 to 12 have greater than 1,000. So that tells you how small it is of people that have higher than 1,000 subs. It doesn't sound like a much, but the reality is, if you're 1,000 subs, you're in like the top 20% of YouTube.
If you're at 1,000 subs and you're a Hangout channel, because not a whole lot of people, if you're comparing this section of YouTube to the majority of what YouTube is about in general, not a whole lot of people care about this kind of stuff. So that's a pretty big.
I think it is.
I know, but I tried to make some. I tried to make my videos a bit humorous,
Yeah, like the edited videos, I think those have a better chance.
Yeah, and I tried to make them semi educational.
Put your link in the group chat here, so I can put in the live feed, so we can send you some subs. Because a lot of people don't know who you are because you don't come around that often, right? I mean,
yeah,
I got a lot of new subs, so if you want to put your video YouTube thing in the group chat here, just link it real quick.
My YouTube name is Evidence for You.
Yeah, but you're gonna make me go look it up, really?
No, evidence for.
I can find your YouTube channel, but I thought you just had it ready.
I had this kind of quirky name a while ago, so if you type that on YouTube, you find it. And then I changed the name to Evidence because it's much easier. Anyway, but
I have it.
You started off way later than I did, and you kind of rise like a fucking star. Because of course you engaged, you speak the language better than I do, of course, and all that kind of stuff.
I put your link in the live feed, so if people haven't heard of Evidence for You yet, go sub to his channel. So he has 647. We'll see how many we can get you. We can get you like another 50 to 100. That's cool.
I support Evidence's channel. He makes great videos, better than mine.
Yeah, he does make good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, as a turnaround, you gotta put a shout out to my channel on your next video.
Of course.
Cool. Yeah, he has a lot of videos against G-Man. He got a couple against Matt Slick, if I remember, and.
Yeah, I engaged with Matt Slick. He made some stupid arguments about why God don't heal amputees and kind of stuff. I have an ongoing series about what's his name, Richard Raspberry, I think his name.
Oh, he's not even been around anymore. He's done.
And he's Jesus.
Dude, actually, really? Richard Raspberry he's commenting on the True Empiricism's videos. Yeah.
Oh my God, he made a video. He made a video claiming that me and Fiona were satanic shills for the Illuminati, and I was just like, "Wow, he's really got off the deep end."
Greg, what evidence did he have? I'm curious. Some sort of triangle in the background.
Are you saying, Steve, that you're not?
I didn't say that.
Oh, you want to stop presenting me, Steve?
I take the fifth.
I actually think that True Empiricism has been blocked because he made a video. I think over a year ago, he asked for evidence for evolution, and I pointed him out to 3 or 4 peer-reviewed papers, and then he blocked me just like that. What? Okay, so you ask for evidence for evolution, I provide you with evidence, and then you block me. I mean, what the fuck? It's kind of strange.
That sounds like him, though. You got to remember, these people are really against anybody that can engage with them. And then they claim things like, oh, you're just running away. And then they say, oh, let's go debate. And then they run away from the debate.
Dragnaut, didn't Richard get a new name or something?
It's like Faith in Jesus something our only world something. He has a picture of a raspberry and it's something long and ridiculous.
Yeah, because I think he commented on something. I was
crazy though. Richard Raspberry's just a nutter. I blocked him because he's a troll and he kept on just filling up my videos with the same
his name
shit.
is Jesus is Lord or something now.
Yeah, he's had that for a while actually.
You know, you was talking about Hangouts. I did one video and did it as a Hangout off air, and I had a lot of links to different websites. I had my browser all set up for different websites to bring them up when I needed them. So I'm talking about something, and I'll say, well, look here at this, and then I screen share the web page, and I can scroll down and point out stuff, and I click to another, and then maybe go back to me just talking, and then go back to the web page or something. That was pretty cool to be able to use it like that. Because the web pages come in really nice and clear, whereas I'm kind of fuzzy anyway, but even more so.
Apologia suggested that you kind of customize your channel page, and I think he's right. Because I just went to your page. Yeah, just customize it from the default, make it a little more personalized, and then you have 2 different views for the first time viewer, and then you have a returning viewer.
It's between.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. But yeah, I've done it before. I know what Steve's talking about.
We love your voice, though. Everybody's commenting on your voice. He does have that soothing voice. You just want to have like wanted to give him like Tale of Two Cities and have him read it to you, where you're reading, sitting there on a couch, sipping on hot chocolate on a cold winter's night, right?
I keep getting them.
Is that just me? Am I the only one that thinks that way? Wow, that was homoerotic in a way then.
No, forgive an old man and his lousy memory. Who's the guy? Microblog. He has a little green thing with a little.
Yeah, microblogism.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, I'll hear evidence when he talks, and Micro when he talks. Can you imagine them two talking together?
I think I'd probably be falling asleep because it's just. So
I think that their voices are.
Are you guys making fun of me?
No, just the opposite. Just the opposite, man.
No. So customize my channel, okay? How the fuck do I do that? I have to link to other channels?
No, you just have to set it for, you just change your view. Like I have on mine, if I'm broadcasting live, it'll actually have in the middle there my live feed. I have my playlist. I have my returning views. And then I have my like first time viewer that goes to my page. They'll see like the best of. Yeah, so I also put my things like Facebook and Twitter and all that on my my channel art too.
See any customize.
He does have his blog in G+.
Related channels, added channels.
Yeah, you can do that too. I mean, I have like 3 related channels. I think I think 3 or 4 show, but I promote Dragnot's channel, Red's Rhetoric's channel, and who's the other channel that I have that I promoted? The recommended channels. I don't remember. But it's a good way to get people to, like promote your stuff. So, to me, I think the principle of like rising tide lifts all ships, right? I think that's good. I think we all should try to help each other get subs and views and and stuff like that. But see, the other side, they're the opposite, right? The Crown Card Posse, they're competitive.
Subscribers. You actually gave me 4 subscribers.
Hey. Awesome. That's 4 you didn't have before.
I was actually in talking with True Empiricism, and he was talking about and G-Man, and they were talking about a channel, and of course they were talking about putting directly opposite, right, like TST and your show, Steve.
Yeah.
Out about this, rising tide thing. Couldn't get any more disagreements, right? I mean. They don't even understand. They don't even understand that their channels are linked, and by the fact that they're opposition, they just don't get it.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Like the way you even found out about these other channels is usually through the opposition. Like for instance, if it wasn't for, I don't watch them anymore, but if it wasn't for Drunken Peasants, I would have never found out G-Man. I would have never found any of you guys. I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I believe that. And that's why G-Man got a lot of subs initially because he was on Drunk.
Exactly. So it's like guys are directly linked to the opposition. So
I fully agree with that.
It is kind of sad they don't see it that way.
Yeah.
Really is.
So if you get rid of half your haters.
But here's the difference: is they keep on saying that we have subs because of the awesome content that they're putting out, and we're writing their coattails. And I'm like, I think you've got that back asswards, people.
A lot of these people were established long before they came along.
Yeah, that's the funniest part. People don't watch their channels for learning anything. It's just basically lulls. We all know this. They even are kind of aware. I think G-Man's kind of getting that truth to soak into his puny little brain there. But the other guys like Antonio and True, though, they're lost. They really think people love their shit. Because what they do is they filter out any comment that is against them. So they don't see the opposite side. They don't see the people going, dude, you suck.
I think there's a small amount of people that do like them, though.
Like trying to be fair to Antonio. He did start particularly well. I mean, I thought he had.
I thought so too.
Well, promising. He had a promising start, right? But let's just put into perspective. Of course, he's trying to do a Christian channel. Remember that this is not just some open debate forum. He's got to placate his fellow brothers in Christ.
But by doing so, he killed his channel.
Of course, and just like MK. Just like G-Man, just like a lot of them, right? That's going to happen. If you don't let the opposition in, you're going to have echo chambers. That was the point I made in TE's Hangout, right? Again, they went silent.
Yep, AMK is no longer around for that very reason.
It's sad because...
But then, sorry, just to finish off, but then what I find funny is the fact that they don't do that is the fact that we now stream each other's Hangouts live and comment live. And I think that's pretty funny, right?
I think it's hilarious.
Rob Beasley do that, and now you guys... And,
I have no problem with people doing that. It's so funny. Well, see, when we do it to them, they're like, oh, they're simulcasting, or oh, we're going to flag them. And when they do it to us, I'm like, go for it. Go for it. We love that. Go. Why would I flag you for that? I don't. That's helping me out. I don't care. That's just stupid.
I just feel like
oh my god,
it's sad because I actually kind of agreed with Antonio's stances when it comes to his criticism of the social justice stuff and some of his abortion things. But when it comes to the whole just the normal Hangouts where he just basically ends up looking like one of the other Clown Car Posse members, and it's just like, it's kind of sad because again, there are certain things I do agree with them on, but there's a whole bunch I don't.
Yeah, I'm sure on the social justice I probably would agree with them as well. Except that he doesn't.
If he just stuck with that, I think he'd have a good channel.
But it's like, but I don't think he understands the nuances of the subject. And first, I want to say that what the major difference between us and them is, I at least will add links to their original Hangouts, right? I'm like, here's Antonio's original Hangout. Here's Trim Pearson's original Hangout. I think Drag does it as well. We have no problem doing that. They would never do that to us, right? Never give us a proper citation. But the other thing is, when it comes to like the Antonio and the social justice warrior, he didn't even understand white privilege. I'm like, you're a black man talking about white privilege and you don't even understand the concept. Psycho atheist tried to explain it to him and he still didn't get it. And I'm like, this is just kind of strange to me that you're pontificating on social issues and yet you don't even know really what the concept of white privilege is. I'm like, really?
That's sad.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
And even I know what white privilege is, and do I think it's prevalent everywhere? No, but does it exist? Certainly, absolutely.
I feel like if he stuck with edited videos, he would still be doing a lot better. Because I think as soon as you start getting involved with the whole Hangout, you get involved with this Hangout community in general. That's where if you don't invite the opposition, things can go down.
Want the
but
opposition.
if you're just doing edited videos, you kind of just have your own little thing going that's only like 4 minutes or 8 minutes long or whatnot, he'd be fine, I think.
But what happened to you, Thaddeus? Because I seem to recall you starting out with the correct, towards rising boats and getting both sides in to have a good conversation. But you seem to get a lot of pressure. You seem to get a lot of pressure almost straight away from the Clown Car Posse.
Well, that's the thing. The thing is, I think as soon as you go down, like Hangouts is a good tool. I'm not bashing Hangouts in general. I just think that it has to be used right, because if you're using Hangouts in a certain way, the thing is that Hangouts, it kind of encourages conversations. People want to say, oh, both sides of the debate should come in. So when you use a Hangout and you don't use it in the way for debate, and instead you use the Hangout in a way that's going to basically just, just like a little podcast or your own little echo chamber or whatnot, well, that gets people it's like people don't understand that concept. Like, I actually used Hangouts for a podcast of mine on my old channel. It was just supposed to be 4 people, like just a panel, just us, and we all kind of agreed or whatnot. It wasn't me trying to create an echo chamber. It was using the Hangouts as a tool for a podcast. But people didn't really automatically understand that, because you get people asking for links and all that. And I'd have to explain to people, like, look, I'm just using Hangouts like as a tool. I'm not using it.
I want to make podcasts with people. If somebody knows about podcasting and wants to start a channel and they need a co-host, because I don't want to have my own program.
Vito.
No, Vito, no. I don't want to take over Vito's thing. Vito, or even Vito's out of my element. Vito's too good. He's a really good interviewer. I couldn't do anything with Vito. He's so good at what he does. If you really listen to his podcast,
I've been on there twice. Yeah.
The answer is what Simon was asking with the whole Clown Car Posse and all that, and the Hangouts. I think I did pretty well until I focused too much on the Hangouts with my old channel, because I was doing edited content as well. And at least that was like my original goal. And when I quit doing the edited stuff and focused more on the Hangouts, that's when things started to go downhill. I didn't get quite as many views and whatnot. And because in general, like Hangouts for most people that are just watching a YouTube video are very long-winded things, and it takes a very special type of audience to really stick around to watch a whole Hangout like that, especially with how long they are.
Yeah,
I know,
that's true.
I know you get viewers. I'm not saying there's no
yeah, but let me
people out
explain to you what actually happens. Most people watch Hangouts when they're doing other things. They're basically at work and just want to listen to something, or they're cleaning house, or they're just moping around, or they just have some extra time. Nobody really goes back and watches old Hangouts that much, nor would I expect them to. Occasionally, if it's a really good one, but then they kind of just surf through them, right? They hit the highlights. They're like, okay, let's go here, here, and here. And people have asked me, hey, can you put timestamps of interesting things that are happening in your Hangout? Well, that would just be impractical. I tried. It doesn't work. But MP, did you want
statistics wise? When I did my edited videos, those did a lot better than my Hangouts, which was just like 50 views or whatnot. And I was growing in subs, and I think a lot of that had to do with the Hangouts I did have that were interesting. When I actually, my old channel, I did interview people like Kent Hovind and all that. And then I had edited videos, which were like pretty well done. And those are what seemed to get me the most views. If I just did like a Hangout thing or a podcast or whatnot, it seems like not a lot of people really cared unless they were part of the Hangout themselves. Like maybe it's different for you, but I don't think are the best source of views.
Experience.
It's like
I have a different experience because one, I kind of like to think that my channel is like the hub for everything else. Everything that goes on in the community, things that go around in the circles that we know and may not be in the circle itself, but we are tangentially related to them, we discuss here. And the only other channel that's very similar to that would be JD Kane, but that's only once a week, and it's very specific. That's mocking things. We do more than mocking. So I think that the Great Debate Community Hub is my channel, and then things kind of get disseminated out from there. So if people want to know what's going on, they can say, hey, Steve, I heard this, and this. Can you have a Hangout on it? We can all discuss it, right? Because they know I'm willing to like open up a Hangout on a dime and have a discussion and have an audience that would be willing to listen.
Yeah,
and I was interested about it. So that's what I kind of view this to be, and it's growing. It's not growing at an exceptionally fast pace, but I wouldn't expect it to. But it's growing, and eventually it might top out. But until then, it's fine. I mean, I'm liking the direction of it. I'm liking that people are being brought into the community from other sources. Matter of fact, I'll give you a good example of what happened today, Thad. And by the way, MP, I haven't forgot about you. I will get back to you in a second. I know you're trying to say something. But one of the guys in our community, he actually was talking to a coworker, and he was kidding around. He said, hey, but do you know DNA and degrades and dissolves in water? And that's the same thing. And another coworker, I guess, overheard him say something like that. He's like, oh, are you talking about that guy on YouTube, that true empiricism dipshit? And he's like, you know who true empiricism is? He's like, yeah, that idiot that thinks DNA degrades in water.
Wait,
he's like, oh, he's like, oh, so you guys know that group over there? He's like, they're like, yeah, and I don't know who the coworker was, but he was well familiar with all of us. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I think what you're doing, you're slowly building up. I'd say it's like there's a difference between building up a following on something that's more mainstream YouTube versus these little kind of cult followings that we have around here. Because
I don't want the cult following.
I think it takes a certain type of person to really be interested in this kind of stuff. Because most people, when they come to YouTube, they're interested in things like gaming and makeup tips and stuff like that, and vlogs and all that kind of thing. Like, this isn't really mainstream YouTube land. So I find when people complain that they don't get that many views, it's like, that's kind of the territory you're in. This is more the cult following side.
Well, I don't know if it's a cult following, but it is a niche. And but it is a niche that I think that can be exploited. Like I said, when people want to know about what's going on these topics, right? And as the community grows, it filters into other channels and other people that talk about similar things. I'll never be Sargon of Akkad. I'll never be Logic. I'll never be Armored Skeptic. I don't have that talent, nor is that how it's set up. But I mean, the day that they kind of know who I am and know, hey, they talk about their channels and these topics, that's going to be cool.
Well, what I thought about doing is that since I actually run a separate music channel, and that can get a lot of views, and that 'cause a lot of people like listening to music, and that I thought if I get like a good amount of subs, eventually I can have like a good following, and then I can actually start shouting out to your guys' channels, and then you guys can get a bunch of subs that way. Just because
and that's kind of what we've been doing all around. I mean, that's why I shout out to Apologia. Apologia will shout out to me. I'll send out to Evidence. King Crocoduck, I think, is still
If you don't
planning to
mind getting a
shout out.
bunch of layman people in the community, because I'm not really attracting intellectuals with my music necessarily.
No, it's all the above. I mean, I like to think that the Great Debate community is a collection of both experts and lay persons and everything in between, right? But Multiple, did you want to add something? I'm sorry, I tried to get back to you, but the conversation kind of took a direction. But did you want to join in, MP?
No, I was going to say about one thing I learned about Antonio's Hangouts last night was that
he's a dick.
No, but no matter what, they're in such a mode of defense that no matter how crazy somebody is, if they start off with saying, I'm a Christian and this happens, then they almost inherently have to try to push their position, like what they did with Intelligent Design, Mr. Intelligent Design. Like, it was so absurd.
That was funny.
Experiments, and it was just like, but because he said these words, we're now going to defend him to the death. And it's like at that point, like now I want to hear what Antonio and True say about Mr. Intelligent Design. If are they going to say that this guy has something that's reasonable? Because we can all see that's like, it's absurd. And I don't know why they're trying to defend it or why they're trying to prop this guy up.
Because they don't know it's absurd. I mean, these are the guys that believe absurd things, right? So to them, they can't recognize that Mr. Intelligent Design is completely out in left field, but he's a Christian brother, so they have to support him. And matter of fact, it was clear when Mr. Intelligent Design started saying some really random things, and Ronnie went, yeah, you know what? That's a great point. That's a really great point. And Jen was like, what was a great point? What did he say? And he repeated back what he thought Mr. Intelligent was saying that had absolutely nothing to do with what he actually said. I listened to it more than once. I mean, 3 times at least I listened to it. And when you listen to what Mr. Intelligent is saying, you listen to Ronnie's response, there's no correlation between the two whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like when Ronnie says something, and then, like when Ronnie says something or has a hangout and spouts the stuff, and then you ask some of the people that watch him, well, tell us what you've learned from him. They go brain dead.
Yeah, and the same thing is like, somebody said before that these guys are not having conversations with each other sometimes. Basically, it's a cut and paste conversation. There's no cohesion when they start talking to people like Mr. Intelligent Design, because you can't understand what he's saying half the time. It's not because of a linguistic problem. It's because he's just completely saying nonsense.
And that's why the universe has intelligence.
And that's why the universe has intelligence.
Well, in some sense, right? In some sense, they invoke the Christian.
Simon, don't defend him, please. Do not defend Mr. ID.
Well,
please don't.
Yeah, you know how I like to do these backhanded.
Oh no, it's not you'll just backhand it or whatever. It's you'll find proof somewhere.
I'll do my fucking best, but
you'll sit there and do some nerd math and come up with a reason why it is.
Just do that for a moment, then, all right?
All right.
Let me see what we can generate.
But
I think
you got to do it right, though. You need a diagram.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but when they invoke the magic word Jesus, I think it is a magic word because it suddenly dissipates all of the questions.
Well, I don't see them doing that though. I mean, you don't see the Clown Car Posse or Edgar invoking Jesus much, if at all.
Well,
I don't see that really happening.
Okay, let me explain how then, Steve. Is they get down these discussions and they start off and they kind of have a slight disagreement. But at the end of the disagreement, they will patch it up by saying, yeah, but Jesus. And that's the common thing. So no matter how far, I've heard DD disagree with everybody in the room, right? All Christians, right? And then at the end of the conversation, DD goes, and this is because it's our Lord Jesus Christ who's come to save us. And he says loads of these platitudes, right? To agree, because that's the story. And once they've said yes, that he thinks that they're tacitly agreeing with everything he said, of course. And they're all thinking the same thing. They all tacitly think.
I don't know if they do that anymore, the other dude. I see him more and more kind of actually telling DD, come on, give it a rest.
Okay, I did in a hangout the other day, and at the very end of it, DD gave some biblical stuff, which is the first time I've heard him do this. Probably. And they all had to say, because, yeah, and, this is the blessing that Jesus has given to us. What Christian could disagree with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's certain things that I think they all would agree upon, but Darwin's deity does go overboard, and he goes into la la land to the point even they get sick of it, especially when they're having a conversation.
From our opinion.
Yeah, especially when they're having a
obviously.
conversation and he comes in and changes the topic to his precept bullshit, right?
But they still don't talk over him. They let him do it.
No.
They let him do it.
No,
right?
he runs the roost over there.
They finish. They say, "Well done, brother in Christ."
Well, Darwin's greatest hits pointed out just a script he followed.
For them to stop thinking about anything logic and have their own opinion, because as soon as they invoke it, the other Christian has to agree. Jesus Christ is our Lord. And that justifies virtually anything they want to say.
As long as they throw in that after anything, they kind of have to agree with the whole thing.
Yeah. And I've seen it happen in a lot of Christian hangouts, and by a lot of Christians. So I just think that, it's, if anything, that's the magic. The magic is that they can just invoke this one word, and all of a sudden, all arguments must be agreed with.
Interesting. That's it. Yeah, I think as far as Darwin's deity goes, I mean, Darwin's greatest hits pointed out in a video called, I think it was DD versus Greg Bonson, and he's basically just using Greg Bonson's kind of reasoning when it comes to how he approaches things.
Verbatim. It wasn't even like paraphrase it. He literally quotes him verbatim.
It's like a mini Greg Bonson you're debating. So if you know how to debate Greg Bonson, you know how to debate DD.
Sure. He even uses the same diphthongs as well that Greg Bonson uses.
Yeah, he tries to sound just like him. He emulates him. He's a parrot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just point that out, and then that shuts him down pretty quickly.
That explains it then. When you break his script, he has to go walk the dog because he doesn't know what Greg Bonson would do.
Actually, I'm beginning to suspect that Greg Bonson may be DD's dog.
No.
Yeah.
So they're over there on Antonio's channel trying to discuss the Big Bang cosmology, which is another topic they know nothing about. But it's funny reading the live feed how these creationists interpret what they think the Big Bang is, which is nothing what the actual Big Bang is. So they have such a straw man model of this shit. It's unreal.
I think it's an explosion.
Most of them think that, yeah.
I used to think it was an explosion. Shit.
Well, and then there's like the Big Bang is still happening. It's still, I mean, it starts out this huge expansion or whatever, and it's still going on.
And it starts to go back the other way, then the universe is done.
Well, we had Landon here who actually is quite familiar with Big Bang cosmology. I mean, he has the ear of Stephen Hawking. He has the ear of Leonard Susskind. I mean, the guy is a who's who of who's who. And yet not a single creationist came over here to decide to ask him any questions about it, except for Mr. Intelligent Design, which I'll give him props for that. And Landon found it comical. He was like, yeah, this wow. But I was like, hey, dude, did you see the shit that I got to deal with on a daily basis? You only have to deal with it like once here. This is what I see every damn day.
Well, that was like when you had Mary Schweitzer. Nobody showed up to ask her questions from the other side. I mean, not that I know of. I mean, Tommy Hall had his chance, for one.
Yeah, and Annabelle makes a good point. She says, Steve gets higher when people who claim they know more than scientists about biology. In fact, he at his highest when True made a fool of himself. Yes, that is true. My highest by far was the after show for my debate with him. That was by far the greatest amount of views I've ever had at one time. Yeah. So I mean, people like listening to the fact that we demolish these people that think they know something about these topics, but then demonstrate that they literally do not. So. Because I mean, still more popular than my Mary Schweitzer video, even though people, think that was one of the best I've ever had for interviews, which I do agree. I did enjoy that one. I thought she was just an excellent guest.
Yeah.
But I mean, people watch for different reasons, right? Some people don't care to watch the ones with Mary Schweitzer or Fuzzrana or Hugh Ross because they're not that interested in the science. All they want to see is the ponage. All they want to see is these people get the shit pushed in. And I don't blame them for that. Got no problem with that. Whatever the reasons, yeah, that's fine. So I got to kind of a mixture of both. And this is what I explained to Thaddeus the other day, that my channel has to run a mixture of everything, or else it will stagnate, and I don't want that to happen.
It's Thaddeus. You keep saying Thaddeus.
You know what? I know a lot of your different names, so don't get started with me. I'll call you what I want. Yeah.
But Thaddeus was never one of them.
It is now. bitch made hashtag.
How are those memes going, by the way? I know there's
And it would be
Oh, they're
hashtag-
funny. There's some new ones. Yeah, they're funny. Yeah. Well, I don't want to show some of them, but I don't know. Well, I guess they're appropriate. I don't know. Drag, do you want to show some of the newer ones? Even though they spelled my name wrong. And I think one person spelled dissolve wrong. But
you talking about for the hashtag bitchmate?
yeah, there's some new ones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hold on. Let me pull them up. I'm talking to this fucking flat.
You know Ronnie's hurt by he's hurt as fuck over this, right?
Really? I haven't really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's not saying anything, but I you know Ronnie.
Oh yeah, I know he's upset, but you know he's. I mean, all right, I just typed in hashtag bitchmate.
Revolution's like, I want to apologize for the torture I had to go through for listening to that debate. Yeah, you know what? I've already apologized for it. On behalf of Ronnie, I apologize that he was so unproductive.
Brave Sir Ronnie nearly fought the dragon of atheism, almost stayed for the Q&A in a debate, wet himself in battle with Steve McRae.
And then Sir Ronnie ran away.
Oh, that
Brave
was
Sir Ronnie.
beautiful.
That's a new nickname of his. He's got Rocket Ronnie, Ron the Magic Ran, and Brave Sir Ronnie.
The crowd saying you're bitch made. He's saying I'm dissolving. And then G-Man, I'll make a video and expose you all. This shit's good. This was funny.
No rollover minutes.
No rollover minutes.
What? No rollover minutes.
I love this one.
I did think about it the other day. He actually thought that in his closing argument that his 5 minutes would be as long as he wanted because he had all these rollover minutes.
Yeah, it's like what?
Wow.
Where do you get this?
I have no idea. Bitch made.
Yeah, just go to Google. Google Plus up there. Just type in hashtag bitchmate and they will come up.
Okay.
And these are all the same ones. There was only a few more from last night.
Show them about my Lady Bacon again, because I don't think a lot of people. If they asked me where this one was, I actually
the model.
The building. They actually asked me, in private chat, can you find this where it was? And I was like, yeah, I'll ask Leighton Baden to post it with the bitchmate. So if they haven't seen it, this is
type in hashtag bitchmate. You will find it.
Because you couldn't actually see it very well in the original Hangout.
There it is.
I see it.
You know what's so funny is like what's so funny is that 2 days or 3 days after the debate, he's still like, hey, Fiona, want to have a debate? And she's like, are you fucking retarded? She's like, first of all, I don't do formal debates. She's like, why in God's name would anybody want to debate you after that debacle that you had with Steve? And I was like, that's exactly what I said. Why would anybody want to? He's going to have to go on the Fringe to find people to debate him now. I mean, damn, that was a
Yeah,
sorry.
his hearing section. Oh, true, you did so good. Oh, you saw it? Oh, well, no, I want to watch it later. But...
They did. They did have exactly. They literally said, "Oh, Ronnie, yeah, you know what? We know you kicked Steve's ass. That was you did an incredible job. Did you watch it? No."
I'd like to make a proposal here. If anybody is challenged by Ronnie to a debate, you must stipulate that you get to choose the topic. And the topic you must choose is why Ronnie is an imbecile.
That's not a bad. I don't know if that's a debatable topic, though. I mean, how do you debate something?
Well, he wanted a debate. He's going to show up. You prove that he's an imbecile, and he's going to do something that just supports what you just said.
Chef Boy, Are You Dumb is still the best. Revelation says, yeah, I agree. That's my favorite. Chef Boy, Are You Dumb? Yeah, he's still reeling from this. I mean, I could see the shockwave still going out. He's really trying to do pushback, and it's making himself look even worse because he would say things like, "Oh, well, I'm not going to engage with Sam or bring Sam up," and then he makes a video the day later about Sam. It's like, do you not understand how this works here? And then he gets that one wrong too. So he makes a good point. He gets some things right. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I pointed out to Hogtie that yes, I think Ronnie's actually right on this, and Fiona did as well. But Sam didn't do anything wrong. Sam didn't say anything that was incorrect. So I don't know why he was saying Sam was incorrect. Yeah, Hogtie was wrong. Big deal. But he kept on trying to, was it guilt by association? Hogtie makes a mistake. Therefore, ergo, anybody in that hangout made the mistake, same mistake? How's that work?
Ronnie, I actually uploaded a little video where I was talking about Ronnie and how many, I guess there's a lot of people watching. I'm not going to upload it. There's like 55 of y'all watching. The reason why I don't feel sad for True and I don't feel any sympathy, I don't feel the need to hold back or to try and offer him an olive branch is because of a series of videos that we had back and forth where he wanted to call a ceasefire, just like he did recently with Sam. He does this when he's feeling the heat. Then he'll rewrite history, and then the cycle starts over again. If you go on my channel, and there's a video called A Tribute to Ronnie. Go listen to that video. I'm dead serious. I'm wishing him luck. I told him, I hope you get better. Yada yada yada. The video that sparked that, he deleted. Then just like everything else, he pretended it never happened. So I kept that video up as a reminder of why I will never give him any quarter. He doesn't
deserve give any quarter. He
does not deserve it.
And I second that fully because I've seen the same thing, right? I've tried to give him a quarter as well. Matter of fact, when he first, this was like the third time he wanted to leave the internet, I reached out to him and said, hey, maybe just reformulate your arguments a little bit better. You don't really need to leave. Is just, try to do it this approach, which he didn't listen to. But, we've all reached out to him before. I mean, in fact, we all said, hey, Ronnie, we'll go in an off-air hangout, just you, me, whatever. And I'll explain to you what happens when he goes in the water. Won't do it. He just you can't give these guys any quarter at all.
I sat down to watch the debate, and I was extremely impressed by the presentation. It's an angle I didn't know about turbines and stuff. I wasn't aware of details of it, etc. And I thought at the end of the first one, I thought, that's fantastic. This is going to be really good. And then, as far as I was concerned, right, Ronnie lost the debate in the first sentence by saying, I had a presentation. It wasn't like as good as Steve's, basically. So I don't want to...
No, he said I had a presentation, but Steve didn't go in the direction I thought he was going to go or something.
Exactly.
I'm like, I can't do anything.
So basically, I paraphrased that to be good because what do you mean by not being in a direction, right? What do you mean not a direction? You both knew the topic before you started. It's not possible for you to have a presentation which isn't in a direction which is to the topic. So he can only mean, sorry, I didn't have a presentation which was very good. Probably a load of hand-drawn diagrams, like photocopied or something. I don't fucking know. But the point
crayons or something, dude.
That's lost the debate right there. That lost the debate right there as far as I was concerned. So there's no point in saying you have a presentation, right? And then
what would he have done if he went first?
Well, exactly. I mean, that's just
dude. But then he would have used his presentation because he didn't know what direction you were going to go, and then you would have to change to suit the direction he was going, or at least possibly
in his mind's eye. But I kept to the topic. He didn't.
It's not how debate works, anyway, right?
I know.
The two people come and give their presentations, and then you have rebuttals. You don't come to his presentation and go, shit, mine's a bit shit. I better just go straight to rebuttal.
But the situation was reversed. If it was
I'm going to save my minutes for later.
Yeah.
If the Clapcrop posse was on my side, they would have been like, all supporting me and saying, oh yeah, Ronnie was completely shit. Now a lot of them actually have come out and said, yeah, they thought Ronnie didn't do very well. I have heard that. But now they're blaming that because he didn't do very well because general. So they're not blaming Ronnie for not doing well. They are acknowledging he didn't do well. Actually, he did. I wouldn't even say he didn't do well. He did horrible. That's more than just not doing well. He did shit. But to blame general for it, that's pretty fucked up.
Saving minutes for later. It's like you're trying to exploit some sort of like game mechanic or something.
Well,
no, it's a cell phone.
Even so, I mean, general.
Ronnie's on the Verizon plan for debates, right?
Yeah, he's rolling his minutes over.
I mean, general didn't say much.
I got 5 minutes left from the last debate. Can I use them here?
Yeah, general didn't say much before the end, so it couldn't possibly have been his fault. And as I said, really, Ronnie lost it in the first sentence. So, I mean, you talk about debate. I mean, it just, I want to have a debate with Steve. You've got to understand what a debate is first. I really feel if you don't know what a debate is.
But Simon, here's the thing. Just a few days earlier, it was G-Man who said, well, Steve doesn't know how to do a formal debate. He doesn't understand structure. I'm like, the irony of this, right? I'm like, really? Really, the guy that thinks having a PowerPoint presentation would disqualify you is telling me
I'm
that
sorry,
I don't
Steve. This is a PowerPoint-free zone.
God.
Yes,
Wow.
PowerPoint-free Hangout. You see the sign right here. It says no PowerPoints.
No PowerPoints. We're discriminatory against PowerPoints. No, I was appreciative when Mr. Intelligence came in and had what I don't know was a PowerPoint, but he had a presentation. And I'm like, oh shit, awesome, something we can look at. Why don't more people do this? But to the Conqueror Posse, oh, we can't have that.
See, say what you want about him, but at least I think he's coming at it from a very kind of honest angle.
In his mind's eye,
confused.
I built a box to drop eggs on Kleenex.
I love that. I've taken 3 weeks to work out what he's talking about, and
he's demonstrating the ability for an intelligence to problem solve, and that he thinks that ability to problem solve for our intelligence had to come from an intelligent designer.
Yeah,
that's it.
And philosophically, I don't really see a problem with that. It's just that why couldn't it have been done with evolution as well?
It could.
I really don't care either way. I just like the fact that the guy actually did experiments to back up what he is saying rather than just making up a bunch of bullshit.
Shitty experiments, but he did try.
He built the box that gives you diagrams, so you can build your own.
Yeah.
Therefore, the experiment can be repeatable.
Yeah, I can imagine if he did actually watch that. I mean, or Myers or Dembski, he'd be like, "What? What?"
Yeah. And as we've said several times, he is a nice guy as well.
He's really nice.
Genuine. Yeah, genuinely.
But
did y'all notice at the end when True was talking about? I think there was a lapse there somewhere. There was something in the space-time continuum, and we missed a momentous event. Because True was talking about the model's already been demonstrated. We have this and that, and on and on. Do y'all recall him saying that?
He's done that before. He just merely asserts the thing. Yeah, that's not the first time he said that.
The model has been demonstrated.
Yeah, he says the model has been demonstrated, the experiments have been done, the conclusion's been reached.
Okay.
But he didn't bring them up. He wouldn't put them out there.
Because he just asserts this as if he can't be challenged on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like reminds me of G-Man's God of the Gaps refutation. Well, there's no God of the Gaps because God knows everything, therefore there is no God of the Gaps. It's something similar. Gaps. Ronnie just basically says, "Hey, the conclusion's already been done, therefore we don't have to show you anything." You never heard that one, Simos? Yeah, we love that. I think it's brilliant on G-Man's behalf. It's stupidly brilliant, right? Just God knows everything. There are no gaps, so therefore you can't have a God of the Gaps fallacy. You gotta have these dumb folks are creative. I'll give them that if anything, right? They'll come up with anything to try to weasel the way into out of a corner or for their argument.
Oh fuck! That's a good one. Thank you, G-Man.
It's almost as classic as the inner solipsism as solipsism.
Yeah, no, that's all the circumference of pi. Classic.
No, it's the circumference of the diameter of pi.
So somebody had one of the original video that they did a transcript on that solipsism thing. It wasn't actually Max Hangs Out. It actually was Max Triumvirate that did the original. So I made a mistake. I mean, Max Hangs Out did do a smaller version, but the original that actually had the entire transcript of that whole debacle with Alex Botten was Max Triumvirate.
Mm.
And it's, dude, read it if you ever get a chance. It's like, what? It's so inarticulate and so mind-bogglingly stupid. And yet I know in his mind, he's making sense, right? That's the funniest part. Ronnie literally in his brain thinks he is making sense to people. And that, I think, scares me more than anything, because that shows a complete disconnect with reality. I at least know when I'm going down a path where I'm not making any sense anymore. I think all of us have that ability to do so.
I mean,
he doesn't.
What's in common with these people, of course, is the precept view. They may not admit it straight away, but at heart, when you hear whatever his name is talking about it, he says things like, "Well, at least this at least God gives an explanation," whereas they say, "I don't know."
Yeah, no,
that's at the base of what he thinks. So, again, it's that's why you don't need to have the strange thing about the great debate community, right? It's this It's this kind of everybody wants to root themselves in evidence as a theologian, but they know they can't. So they build up kind of a system of precepts first, assuming God, and then attach on the evidence, right? So I don't know.
No, I agree with that to some degree. I think they do start off with that presupposition and try to find evidence that supports their already existing presupposition. And I get that in a way, but to discount reality in order to do so, that to me implies something delusional. You can't do it. You can't discount what we know about nature to support some kind of faith-based things. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Sounding a bit like an anti-theist there, but
I'm not trying to be an anti-theist at all. I'm just saying that if you have the book of nature and you have the book of scripture, then if nature tells us one thing, that's what we're going to go by. If we drop something in the ground and the Bible says if you drop something, it falls up, the Bible's wrong, or we're interpreting something wrong, because we got to go by what the facts are, right?
And that's why I think there's a total disconnect between the two. Right? Evidence-based theology is an oxymoron as far as I can see.
Well, it's like even in the Bible, I mean, their own faith says faith. You believe by faith.
And I got no problem with that.
Yeah, but like you said, they want to try and bring in some kind of evidence or science or something. Just stick with what's your faith. Don't try and drag all this other stuff in. Read your book. It says, faith. There's verses about faith, how great it is, how wonderful it is. You can only you can only get into heaven or believe in Christ by faith or something. By grace are you saved through faith in Jesus Christ. Stuff like that. Repeatedly, there's things about faith, how powerful it's supposed to be for a believer, and it's like they just turn their back on it and do something else.
As a matter of fact, Ozzy's supposed to be having a hangout right about now on that very subject, on being a pistivist, and what it means to be an pistivist, and what it means to have a faith, allowing to have faith as in your worldview, or allowing it to have a hold of how to gain knowledge, right? And I don't know what time it's happening, and I don't want to step on his hangout. So if anybody does know when Ozzy's having that, please let me know, so I can end this one and we can go watch that one. Because I think that'd be kind of interesting, because it is a carryover from the topic of discussion he had about being a pistivist with Aaron Ra, and I'm always fascinated to listen to him and Aaron talk about this subject. So
yeah,
I don't think I consider myself to be an pistivist, but I can understand the viewpoint of it very clearly and why Aaron is.
I think it is the central subject that we all want the answer to.
Does anybody know when he's doing that hangout? Because he said it's supposed to be 3 hours from a while ago, and that's been probably about 3 hours.
Let's have a look, shall we?
But I don't remember I saw the notification for it. I guess I could just message him. Ozzy, when is your
he mentioned it on Facebook too.
So. Here we go.
I just sent a message. I don't know if you'll get it. It was on Facebook.
Oh, that's fine.
What time did he say was? What time did he say was on Facebook?
I don't remember. I just happened to see it. I don't know if I can find it. Let's see.
So my ex-girlfriend that I lived with for 5 years, not my baby's mom, but a different one, just sent me a sticker. You bet you don't have time to do this, but Jesus gave his life for you. Send this to 10 people and see what happens in 5 minutes. Do you have time for God? Now I know why I never worked out with her.
All right, here we go. Steve, you got to send one back.
I just logged on. I just get this, and I was just like, you're an atheist as far as I know. I didn't know she got religious.
So send one back saying, have you ever stolen an Xbox One? If so, pass this on to 5 people.
Different X. That's why I said she's not my baby's mom. This is something I lived in Utah for 5 years.
Steve, it's going to be on is it on the play?
So when is it?
Steve, is it on the play?
Is it what?
Ozzy, is he going to be on the place?
I don't know when he was supposed to be on. He could be on the place.
Well, actually, let me just give you this link. I'll put the link in the side, and you can. It goes to his Facebook. We'll see if that's it. Yeah. 7 p.m. Central.
All right, so that's 4 o'clock my time. So it might have already started.
7 p.m. Central. It's 7 p.m. Central. I mean, it's 7 p.m. Eastern here. Right now.
Oh, it's 7 p.m. Central or Eastern? Because Central would have been like an hour ago for me.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Central.
Oh, yeah. Then it's 5 o'clock my time.
A couple hours away yet?
An hour. Less than an hour. 45 minutes.
I suck at time zones. I had to go to remember what day it is.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah,
I'm
see what
here.
Drag. I saw what you just did or typed. Yeah, ask him to come
Yeah.
join us. But it sounds like he's a troll.
He's serious.
Mhm.
He's dead serious. He's kind of from the, I guess you could say, the group with the Black Hebrew Israelite like people.
The Hoteps or the other ones?
Well,
So
he's technically Kemetic, from what I understand.
Okay.
He doesn't have time to come explain to us why he's a flat earther.
I try to get him in here. He has an issue with putting information into Google.
Oh yeah, well the Illuminati.
Well,
and
then
all
just
that.
lie. Then just tell him lie.
He's on Facebook though. I'm like,
Yeah, are you telling a Christian to lie? Oh wait.
Sorry. Just use fake information, like fake news.
I don't know if he's a Christian. Let me see, because some of them are irreligious, but they have just really. I don't know how to describe it. Sorry, I'm listening to y'all and Thaddeus's SoundCloud at the same time. So if I sound a little loud, that's why.
Fine.
Steve, I'm sorry. I thought I'd put that link in the side. It's there now.
There's no worries. It's 46 minutes.
Okay.
So, Drag, what's the difference between the Hotep and the Kemetic?
I would not be the best person to answer that. I'm not.
Well, I asked because I found a meme where it showed a family having a Thanksgiving dinner, and it said Kemetic Thanksgiving, and it looked like a Thanksgiving dinner. And then it said Hotep Thanksgiving dinner, and it was just a table with chairs around it.
Yeah,
one more basic than the other.
I guess the one is like Catholicism compared to Protestantism. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't try to delve too far into that.
Like, do they fight each other? Or they at war with each other?
They don't disagree. Well, they do disagree on certain issues. I think, like, especially with dealing with like ancestry, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. And
do they think they're like gods? Are they like the Egyptian reincarnations of gods?
I don't think so.
Okay. I gotta turn off Thaddeus' stuff. Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. All right. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'll get with Conquest.
How's this? I googled it.
Yeah. Well, good luck. I mean, even I've tried googling certain things, and I've been told, well, no, that's not accurate. Somebody, it's Kemetic, put that in there, and I'll say, all right, whatever.
Well, here's the Urban Dictionary. Peace, or I come in peace. It is a common greeting with people well versed in the true world history by Brother Enki. But the other one I think more just probably describes it. Christianity is a slave religion, and the imaginary figure Jesus is the master. Free yourself from the last bond of slavery. Hotep people, shed the light to the religious, because the poisonous that the religion has produced are conquering and infiltrating all facets of consciousness. Religion threatens and terrifies. Spirituality gives you inner peace. Religion speaks of sin and fault. Spirituality encourages living in the present and not to feel remorse for which has been already past. Lift your spirit and learn from errors. This is the Hotep was of living. I don't know what that means. So it sounds like hedonism to me.
Yay! I can get with that.
What? They're Satanists? I don't know.
Oh no.
Well, they're more like secularists with a hint of spirituality. Like
yeah, I can get behind that.
It's odd.
Definitely, it sounds anti-Christian.
Oh yeah. Well, it's more like, well, the slave masters gave Christianity to slaves, so why are you still a Christian kind of thing? They really.
The Christianity was controlling the slaves. Therefore, it was okay. I got it.
That's the premise, I guess you could say.
That's Hotep. Now the other one, the What's the other
Kemetic
side?
is,
Kemetic,
I
I don't
think,
know what that is. I can't
Kemetic
find it.
something a bit different. I think they do have a really strong religious component to that, if I'm not mistaken. It's either strong religious or really, really strong spiritual connection or something there.
So is this why G-Man's so against the Black Hebrew Israelites? Especially
Well, no, they are religious. No, Black Hebrew Israelites now, they
see, I am so unversed in
yes,
this shit.
see,
listen to
that's
me.
a completely different category. So you could put Kemetic and like Hoteps and whatnot into one group, and in one, and like they're two divisions of like a larger category. But then a completely separate category is Black Hebrew Israelites, where they believe that they are Hebrews, like they are descendants of Judah, and the 12 tribes of Judah are kind of dispersed out in the African diaspora, and so the folks in the United States are one of those tribes, and they think that you pretty much dip the Bible in chocolate, like whoever was in it was black, and
Gotcha.
yeah.
So God the Father's black too, right?
Yeah, of course, he has Afro. Yeah, I mean, it's just whatever. Like they release some really funky stuff, and probably one of the funniest things that I saw, that was connected to it, is something called the big-headed scientist. And I used to tell people, you saw the big-headed scientist?
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah, that's some of them.
So
some of them believe in that. So if you have not seen,
the big-headed scientist.
The big-headed scientist.
If you haven't seen the big-headed scientist,
you have to go watch. Yeah,
you're like, what?
Yeah, come on, Drag.
Find me a link, Drag.
I'm not going to explain to what it is. You have to go watch the big-headed scientist.
Find me a link.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Steve has it.
Yeah, that's the big-headed black scientist from another. Is he from another planet or another universe? I don't know.
He's from another planet. Yakub is from a different planet, and then came to Earth, and then they did some kind of experiment and created white people or some shit like that.
It's 46 minutes long.
Well, just watch the first 10 minutes. This is gonna be
awesome.
Just watch the first 10 minutes and then just take a break, and because it's just so they put through like a lot of information in the first 10 minutes, and then they kind of expand upon the story. It's just it's a mixture of like Scientology and the Island of Dr. Moreau, and it's really weird.
So it's definitely original then. It's just everybody else's crap stirred together.
Oh yeah, you'll definitely notice some really.
But as you say, dipped in chocolate.
Like God, I can't read it. Is it like genocide, obliterator, destroyer, man, master, able, noble? Weird. You God, biological youth organization, your own universe, generator, operator, destroyer.
Yeah. There's a lot of acronyms. A lot of acronyms. Everything's an acronym.
What do they call those? What do they call those big rings? What do they call that go through time?
Oh, and white people get skin cancer more. Ergo, we're the curse of God. That's interesting.
Curse of God. Wow.
I guess.
What do they say about sickle cell anemia?
Sickle cell was actually beneficial at one time.
Well, it is if you are a carrier for sickle cell, you have it's called heterozygote advantage. That is actually true.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if they actually know that, but
if you actually have full sickle cell, then it's a detriment. But yeah, as a carrier, you actually have a benefit.
Yeah, but you have to have both parents who have the heterozygous advantage to be to be carriers, and then you're more than likely to get it, because of that.
Yeah, because you have a resistance to malaria.
Mm-hmm. This feels like some Scientology / ancient aliens stuff.
That's what he was saying. It's like a combination of all this shit.
It is actually very, very much like that. Yeah. But they try to mix in like modern science.
So they take science fiction and they actually. These people actually believe this shit.
Is this where Arcane got his original stuff from? Because
Arcane does actually, believe it or not, Arcane does believe in a lot of the stuff that they get at, but he will probably say that they got it from, the actual source of God or whatever. He has his own view of history, and it just kind of borrows from different groups.
Yeah. I had a good chat with him about power sources.
There's a guy here. The channel's called Charles X. He's got 1 million views. The video is 1 hour and 24 minutes, and it's called "Origin of the White Men."
Yep.
Part 1A. There's more of this shit.
Wow, how long does it take to tell the origin of the white person?
The big set of scientists, basically, from what I understood, took genetic material from demons and mixed it with other alien races to produce the white man.
One thing I did hear.
From demons. From demons.
That explains everything. The whole feminist conspiracy.
Well, that part's true. That part's definitely true.
Yeah, that's one thing they got right.
Makes sense.
I mean,
I just want to point
there's
something
no way it
out
can
here.
be just a genetic
in the
variation.
opening title card here for the big-headed scientist, the one in the black and green aura outline with the gold necklace. Doesn't his forehead look familiar?
Kind of like something that starts with a K, just a little bit.
No, I was thinking like Matt Bell.
Matt Bell. I was thinking Matt Bell.
Well, I think Matt Bell actually is the reincarnated white version.
Oh, okay.
It could be Yakub. Yeah, it's a curse.
Maybe Matt Bell's the one who created all the white people.
We are descendants of Matt Bell.
Check your foreheads, folks. Check your foreheads.
Yeah.
No, Matt Bell's a big-headed philosopher.
Okay, then there's another video here called Yakub's Book of Tricknology.
Okay.
Tricknology.
Tricknology. So you can't come up with a better word than tricknology.
Somebody obviously had to pull this shit out of their ass. I gotta admit, somebody's trying to be creative.
Yeah,
definitely. Like trick is in TRI.
I don't know if it's supposed to be technology, and it's technology is tricking you, or if this is somehow where tricks have been played on you.
It's probably a tricknology, as technology is designed to trick you or to put out propaganda to trick you or something.
But what I don't get is if I had come up with something and saying, oh yeah, you know, the black man is actually the result of having sex with demons and alien races, you know, it would be ostracized, right? And well, it should be, right? Because I think racism is racism. But to these people, they don't see it as such. I'm like,
I searched up.
That's because black people can't be racist.
No, I searched up tricknology on Wikipedia, and it gave me Yakub.
Yeah, they're related.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, their views are very, very prejudicial, and it's not something that's very prevalent. And even though it has 1 million views, it's all among the same group of people. Like they have their own separate communities. So
I have a question, Drag. Other than outside of their own little community, are these people even employed?
They are. They work at like McDonald's and Walmart and everywhere else that you'd find people who like believe in stupid shit. Like you don't find like CEOs of Fortune 500 companies.
That's what I meant. Outside of their own little community, they're not employable.
I mean, they typically don't get along with white people. I know that's a huge shock for you guys. Like,
and you're working at
Walmart.
Wow, I would have never guessed that.
That explains Walmart employees and what happens at McDonald's.
No, I've been into some rooms that are like that, and you can feel the hostility. And I'm like, wow, this is what black people have to deal with when they go into a white supremacist room. So yeah, you can feel the same things, right? So if you want to feel what it's like to be a black person in these kind of situations where these right racist bastards fucking start talking shit, cool. I can give you some rooms to go to. I've been in them. It's
you must have taught the claim.
Yeah, the claim your inheritance.
Definitely thought the claim. Yeah, I spoke to him, man.
Yeah, claim your inheritance and his group. I've been into that, and there's like one chick in there. She's just flat out fucking nasty, just mean, vicious, racist. Right?
I feel like I'm like one of the weirdest positions because I'm technically part white and black. So what am I supposed to think of all this?
Oh, so Thad, you're a daywalker.
Yeah, we all hate you. That's
the one drop rule. That's what it is. We'll always remember that.
That sucks.
One drop rule.
Yeah, I look black enough.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Part white.
It's so funny that Drag just instantly knew that was like a claiming your inheritance thing. I just think that's funny.
Oh, well, I've spoken to him, and he's told me some of these things. I'm like, where the fuck do you even get this shit from? Like, I don't want a white. Well, I kind of do want a white slave, but I also want a Brazilian one, but I want a Japanese one too, and I want one from Papua New Guinea just because.
I just want to ask who asked that they pulled this stuff out of.
I don't know. They say that there's I forgot where Claim said he got it from, but some of them say that it's in scripture, but then you've seen G-Man argue with them about like their interpretation of scripture. And as you see, they like to use different acronyms. So let's say that there's some like really like mundane word like cable or something like that, like a cable that you pull a cart with or something. They'll like extrapolate that out to be something that it's not and say, oh, well, this is the hidden meaning. Like, no, you created a fucking acronym that was not even there. You just did that. And so that's
cable. Caucasians are bad living entities.
There you go. See, there you go. You just created something, and that's literally what happens in some of these guys.
You've cracked the code. Technology.
Yeah, it's really strange, and there's always one or two people like that that people kind of know, and they kind of keep their distance. And unfortunately, you have to run into them every so often. And it's like no.
Well, how many of these people actually exist? Do you think, Jack? I mean, how
there's probably one or two in my own family, but even though my family is fairly diverse, there's always like one or two that exist that are.
But are we talking like tens of thousands, hundreds?
I would doubt it. Maybe a few hundred, maybe.
Okay, so probably less than 1,000. You think?
Well, it's less than that because even though they stay on the fringes of kind of, I guess, society, you can say that they really don't interact with a lot of white people, obviously, but they also don't interact with the rest of the black population because those of us who do date interracially are also seen as the enemy. We're just as bad.
You're not dating interracially. You're married.
Man, so I'm like
my wife and I both have.
Fine, but you can't date anybody, right? Interracially or not. You're married.
No.
So I shouldn't even exist. I'm like the demonic hybrid.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't actually have a say so.
Oh, black and white people make beautiful children. They're just like gorgeous kids.
Some of them are fucking ugly. But
it's because it's black and white. Just some kids are ugly.
Oh, okay.
I mean, can you imagine what Heavy Holler looked like when he was like 2? Come on.
There was a study done in the UK on mixed race children, and it turned out that they were had more symmetrical faces and slightly higher IQ on average.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, the craziest thing I've ever seen.
But Simon, we can also prove this by just simply looking at European royal families.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not fair.
So, Drag, you're basically saying that, like, the hotels.
I would just point out that some of the European families, like the English one, is of course black. Just to point out.
You're saying there's less hoteps than subscribers that I have.
Probably. Like it's really hard to get a good grasp on it because some of them really don't express their views when they know they're not around folks that think like them. So I can give a rough estimate, but I can be wrong. But honestly,
or they'll do it online, but they won't do it in public.
Yeah, a lot of them will kind of keep it under wraps, and it's just like any covert racist. There's a few of my coworkers who are incredibly racist, and so they assume that some of our other coworkers are, but so they'll say certain things, and then those coworkers will come back to me and say, "Yeah, you might want to keep your distance from him."
Yeah, that's the same.
And they say black people can't be racist.
Yeah, I never understood that either. That's just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Anybody can be racist.
Yeah.
Racism is not. You don't get a special pass because you're your skin color. That's just
no. I think what's happening here, Steve, is when they do come out and start running around doing all this shit in public, everyone else just ignores them.
Yeah, that might be true, except for G-Man. He like thrives with these people, right? But you're right. I tend to ignore people like that. I do. I don't have the time or the patience.
We need more hybrids speaking up about social issues, because if it's just some person from the black side of the equation or white side of the equation, it's like they can't speak for all those groups. But
nobody can speak for one group. I mean, I think that's a problem with a lot of things. Like one person can, like, unless you elect that person, like your senator is supposed to speak for your state. There's no one person who can speak for all veterans. There's no person who can speak for all atheists. There's no person who can.
Well, no, that's not true. J.D. Kane can speak for all. Excuse me. Power to speak for all.
Yes, J.D. Kane has been elected. So yes. Let me correct that. Yeah. J.D. Kane has been officially elected. So give him all your money.
Richard Dawkins.
Let me put this out there real quick. I've got 73 people watching. Ozzy Ramdius II is having a hangout. I don't know if it's on his channel or The View. He's going to give me a link.
It looks like it's The View.
It is The View. It's on 30 minutes. Do you have the link?
I put it in the side chat, yeah.
Did you have the actual link?
Just below.
Okay, wait. All right, let me check this out. Let me give you guys the watch link. Yep, you're right. That's it. So I'm going to give you guys the watch link towards the end of this hangout. So let's all jump over there. Let me let them know that I'm doing this real quick.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, it's about half an hour, 28 minutes or something.
Oh yeah. That was fun. I learned something. How
They're
white
supposed-
people were created. I didn't.
Oh no, it's just comedy. I don't even take that shit seriously.
I know. I'm just joking.
One thing I did notice talking to a few of them, not the ones you're talking about necessarily, Drag, but the Hebrew Israelites, was that their interpretation of the history in the Bible was, if anything, a little more accurate than the Christians.
Yes, some of them actually, do know quite a bit of history, and like you'll notice, it's just like when people talk to G Consciousness. He studies a lot of history and a lot, especially like etymology, and there's a strong emphasis on Egyptology for whatever reason. I'm still not sure why. And it's astonishing the amount of time that some of these guys put into this stuff. And for me, it's like, man, if you just put that towards like math and physics or something, you might get somewhere in fucking life. That's me being
really exactly. Boy, did you hit the nail on the head on that one?
That's like
hell, Drake. How about just like real Egyptology, not the fake crap you're making up?
Just any subject.
They
I mean, just something that's
batteries back in the
legit.
day and all that stuff.
It's just I don't see the purpose of that. Like, what I understand having knowledge, right? Cool. If you want to have alternative knowledge about whatever your view is, then cool. But I don't see like it as a means to an end, because at least when I study or if I'm going after this route with trying to talk to flat earthers, it's going toward helping me understand physics. Like there's actually an ulterior motive to it, and it's something to help motivate me to learn a little bit more about physics than I have to or that I should from my field. But I don't see how like Egyptology and learning the etymology of the word God is going to actually help me at all. Especially if I'm just skewing all nuance to the topic,
For someone like me who's a writer, I find the etymology thing kind of interesting, because it's kind of interesting to know where certain English words come from, and we have so many different things from Latin. It's insane.
Yeah, I know. No, the English language is a
Like the word Africa.
It has to be spelled with a K.
Comes from the Latin. Just saying.
Like Arcadian, yeah.
Oh, actually, speaking of Acadians, I was going to share my Ancestry.com results. Ancestry.com got an upgrade. They actually show your ethnic group now.
Wow.
So I've told people that I am Creole, but there is now a way to find your ethnic group genetically.
Right, Creole. Just to remind me,
Don't they give you a thing like a
okay, just to help Simon here, who's not familiar, what's a Creole there, Drag?
So, a couple of 100 years ago, there's these evil white people who stole people of color from Africa, and just messing.
And they put them on a spaceship.
Yeah. Okay. So the slaves.
Big-headed scientist. Oh, sorry.
I know all of this.
Okay. So yeah. So the slaves in Louisiana, right? They settled there near the slave ports, Baton Rouge. So the ones there intermingled with the Acadians, the descendants of the Quebecois from Canada, and they ended up, forming a society there. Through their kind of intermingling, you had a demographic of people known as Creoles and Cajuns. So you typically split them among color lines. The melanated or highly melanated folks being Creole, rather the lightly melanated individuals being Cajuns. So now, let me see if I can screen share myself. I am of the Creole stock, and that actually has a very rich history here. And so now you see, actually, here's the top. No, if you guys am I being screen shared?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so at the top here is
you were until Simon spoke.
Oh,
sorry, no, you're not being screen shared.
Okay, I think I just got to keep my mic live. So let me make sure here.
Hey, you're sharing your full name, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my real name, by the way, folks. I'm not too concerned with it.
Yeah.
So this is something I've showed before about my.
Just so Simon knows, he was named after Batman's butler.
Yes, that is true. That's not. So this is
me thinking Alfred the Great.
But this is something that's unremarkable. Like you can get mitochondrial DNA and tell the haplogroup, where it's from. So of course I have like 30% European, 1%, or 29% European, 1%. That's Asian, but that's technically over here in like East Asia. It's not showing up right now. But so the rest of this is Europe, West, and now that shows my family history. That doesn't show where I'm actually from, right? This shows where I'm actually from, which is Louisiana, which I was born in Slidell, Louisiana. And this actually gives you like the hot spots of where some of those slaves and their descendants then branched off from. And so you have some here, and let's see, go, and you can actually click on this and it'll give you the history.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so yeah, that's awesome. Like I didn't think they'd get to that point. And so I guess they're connecting, like I say here, now you're showing different branches. Red. Now what's funny is that the one at Michigan, that's where my mother's from. So that's why there's some hits over there. Now the California one, I'm not too sure, because that's I'm not even remotely sure where like that's related, because I know I get a lot of Louisiana because my biological father is a Creole.
Whereabouts on the West Coast were those two spots?
They're over in looks like California.
No, what would be the cities?
Cities, let's see.
Chicago.
Let's see. There's California, so there's Los Angeles there.
Los Angeles.
There's no surprise there then.
And San Francisco.
No surprise there either.
So yeah, my mother is actually from Benton Harbor, Michigan, and this is Chicago. So there's a chance me and Ronnie may be related. So yeah, my mother for this reason. Yeah,
I just got cold chills.
You have to guess how I feel. So I feel my IQ dropping.
Well, you do share common ancestry with him, so that's bad enough.
So there was
this.
Technically, Steve, you share a common ancestry with Ronnie as well.
Yeah, technically everybody does. Oh no.
No, actually, I don't, because you remember the big-headed scientist created me from.
Oh right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
That's
right.
It's amazing, Joe.
Even I have a little bit of that.
So we have a flat earther in the live feed that says he has a model, but they can't join. Oh, oh well.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
I
yeah,
got
folks.
a model here for a flat Earth. It's called a plate.
That's not a model. that's part of a model. I mean, but that doesn't explain observations. A model has to explain observation.
How about, I've got one here. It's a deflated globe.
Yeah. Oh, if you guys want to do Ancestry.com, I think they run a special. Yeah, I think they run a special around Christmas, because I got mine for like $60. I want to have my grandmother get the DNA test, because I have a lot of family members, a ton, and I'm trying to like establish a genealogy, but it's hard because there's so many. There's so much we don't know about my grandmother's
So your family had a lot of sex and reproduced a lot.
Yeah, well, my grandfather had two families, so that also complicates shit.
I tell you, they didn't know about each other.
No, we know. They even came to the family reunions.
So they did know. So they did know they
oh,
met
yeah.
each other.
Oh yeah, all my
So they had, wait, he had two wives in different places or something like that.
Yeah, well, he had my grandma. He had a family with her. Left them and then went and started another family.
Oh, okay. It wasn't like the same time. It wasn't like leaving.
No, it was the same time. It was the same time frame.
Yeah. So you got some bastards in your family then.
Yeah. Well, my half uncles and whatnot they come to the family reunions. They're part of the family just like everyone else. I mean, it's kind of a joke now, but it's it's like, hey, what do you do, right? So.
So anyways, this guy says he has a video on his channel, Arcane Knowledge. I don't care a shit about videos. I'm not watching a video. I'm not going to send anybody to watch a video. If somebody has a model they can demonstrate, they can do so without having a video to explain it. You come in, you provide the model, you provide the explanations. Nobody's going to go to your channel to watch bullshit. So not going to happen.
An image or something.
Dragon, where was this at? You said Ancestry.com, or did you?
Yeah, I think it's Ancestry.com, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they do the DNA test? Send you a kit, or you go somewhere? Or?
Oh, Shar, look, Shar watched it. It's 36 seconds and it's nothing. Yeah, well, I wouldn't expect it to be Shar.
It dragged it a thing heavy with a kit. You swab your cheek or whatever and send it in.
And what the fuck is a flat Earth skeptic? Jesus Christ! There's no such thing as a flat Earth.
It's obvious, Steve. It's somebody who's skeptical of a flat Earth. It's like those globists that are out there. Those people who believe.
No. The way they're using a flat Earth skeptic is somebody who doesn't advocate flat Earth, but gives evidence for it, but not actually advocating it. They call that.
No, I think that's what they call ball Earth skeptics, where they don't know if they're skeptical whether it's a.
Is it? I don't know.
There's some people out there that don't claim that they're flat Earthers. Well, at least John LeBon is.
Look, I have a spirit level here, and if I put this on the ground, that little bubble in the middle will sit in the middle, so therefore it proves the Earth is flat.
Yeah, but they won't write out say they're flat Earthers. Some of them
Yeah.
say that they're ball Earth skeptics. So they're skeptical of the Earth to ball. I'm serious.
The Nile only falls by like a small amount over thousands of miles.
Yeah. Are we starting to bug you, Steve?
No, I'm looking at the live feed here.
Just remember, Steve, Simon and I, what was it, Simon? Was it
talk about
How many hours was it for angel farts?
Oh, at least a couple.
Oh yeah, and nobody stopped us.
It was deep theology, though. You got to understand.
But
sure was.
Yeah. Nobody was away from keyboard in the Hangout, and everybody outside the thing just kept on watching, and nobody stopped us and interrupted and asked us what the fuck we were doing.
That's
what the hell are they talking about?
I have a feeling Fabio was involved as well, but I can't remember. Normally,
no, it was just you and me.
Oh, is it? All right, fair enough. Noddy is Hangout, no doubt.
Yeah, she was sleeping and we were bored and blah blah blah. It just kept going.
We have another person that doesn't understand allegory. If the Earth is round, how come we talk about the corners of the Earth?
It's an allegory.
Allegory. It's 4 points on a compass, right? You have north, south, east, and west. When the direction of the compass points somewhere, you call it the 4 corners of the compass, right? Because you have.
But that saying was around longer.
380, 360. Come on, I mean, this isn't that difficult to understand when we use analogies and allegory to explain these things.
That saying was around longer than compasses were even made, because isn't there like a point in the Bible where it's like 4 corners?
Yeah, but they're talking about the 4 pillars of creation on that one, which is 4 people.
Yeah, the Flat Earth Society has members all around the world.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, but that's a circle, Heavy, not a globe. It's a circle.
Yeah. So when we ask for a model, and yes, 2 flat earthers have said they don't have one. Obviously, Orphan Red said she doesn't have one.
I'm still holding my plate.
Yeah, well, the plate is not plate's not a model.
It's a model.
No, it's not. A model is an explanation. I have never found a flat earther that had one. They don't exist.
Wait, how about the one that shows how the sun and the moon work?
Okay.
There's one that basically shows that they basically spin around the disk. That shows how the
it's falsified instantly. The fact that we don't see a change in the angular diameter of either.
Well, then you can't say they don't have a model. They just have really.
That's
bad
not a model. If a model has to be something that explains observation. If the observation is not explained, it's not a model.
Steve, I've heard one once for how the sun works. Okay, you do have your typical sun.
Yeah.
That we all know and love. Okay, then the Earth is the flat disk. And to get the sunrise effect, it bobs up and down.
You bob up and down.
As it goes around. And this gives you the effect of the sunrise and sunset.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just no.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, doesn't that kind of answer observations?
No.
The guy even explains how it rains, too.
So is this Flat Earther? Steve, you're still presenting me. Is this Flat Earther guy coming in?
No, God, no.
Oh.
They won't come in. They know they have nothing. When they have to use bullshit things like, oh look, they say it's 4 quarters of the Earth because they don't understand context. You got to realize you're dealing with some very stupid people, right?
I just try and talk to this guy, and he's posting stuff about the NASA moon landing being fake, and
that can be a different discussion entirely, whether space photos are real or not. That doesn't necessarily prove a flat Earth.
No. Okay, this is the extent of this guy's knowledge. Quote, a circle has 4 90-degree angles. No.
What?
No. An inscribed Cartesian coordinate system inside a circle has 490-degree angles. A circle does not. Holy shit. Do you guys begin to see how bad these guys fuck things up?
What?
Yeah, he says a circle has 490 degrees angles.
I'm reading it, and
you're so shocked.
If you cut a circle into 4 quarters, like a pie, then yes, you would have 490-degree angles.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You inscribe inside their Cartesian system with X and Y, which you would be doing if you cut it into 4. Then sure, but that's not the same thing as saying a circle has 490 degrees.
And if you take 490-degree angles and add them up, you get 360, which is a circle.
Yeah. Well, it just means that.
So I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying.
They're just playing dumb games with math.
Yeah, I know. I mean, these guys are. I mean, obviously, this other guy you around you saying is trolling because it can't be that stupid. Well, if the Earth doesn't have corners, then why do we travel to the edge of the Earth? Yeah, you're an idiot. The edge of the Earth is considered to be the horizon at that point. So when you're traveling toward the horizon, they're calling that the edge of the Earth because it appears to be the edge. Again, not complicated stuff here, people.
I mean, it sounds like rocket science to me because
it's all above. You know what's confusing, Dragnaut? Sorry, Drag. We know this is above your level.
Yeah. Sounds like Rocket Ronnie science to me.
Well,
yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm waiting for Mr. Intelligent Design to come up with some shit like that. Like a circle is like 360 pi. It's 362 degrees in an 8 or something. You know, because he already thinks probably be greater than 1, right? So I want to see how he thinks a circle could be greater than 360. Which, by the way, it can if you're using unit measurements. We get that, right? You just continue going around, but probability can't be greater than 1. But he'll figure out a way to fuck up math. You know, like.
Yeah, I don't have a model, but I can think of stupid questions I ask people that they're going like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Horizons are just a theory. Oh God. Fucking Andy, these people are just either trolling or they're stupid or both. I don't know.
Yeah, it's also pretty good out.
I'm gonna assume they're trolling because there can't be this many dumb fuckers in the world.
Well,
Steve, you don't know.
Hold on.
Let me keep what sanity
Steve,
I have left.
I would say flat earthers are trolling until they engage in a debate.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Because anybody can type crap into a comment section on the side and blah, blah, blah. You know, you're trolling. But as soon as you stand up and say, I have proof and I'm going to prove it and you're wrong, now you're an idiot.
No, I don't think Arcane Knowledge is a troll. The other guy's a troll, I think. Arcane Knowledge, I don't know what the hell Arcane Knowledge is.
Unless you're making money
I'm
off
not sure.
of stuff and you're actually going to do.
Arcane Knowledge, do you think the Earth is flat, yes or no? And don't say you're a skeptic or whatever. It's a yes or no answer. Do you think the Earth is flat, yes or no? No other answer will be accepted.
And no PowerPoints.
PowerPoints are cheating.
Yeah.
To be disqualified if you use any kind of PowerPoint.
Wait, maybe he's saving his minutes though. Maybe he doesn't want to use it right now.
Yeah.
He's saving his answer so you can, answer.
Yeah, so you can have
it appears flat, yes. Okay, so he's a flat earther. Okay, I don't think he's trolling. But Arcane Knowledge, you realize that you're inherently 3 standard deviations from norm on the intelligent bell curve, meaning that you're officially stupid. If you are a flat earther, you are dumb. Period. There's no argument. There's no debate. You're just a dumb human being. Now we can explain to you why you're dumb, right? If somebody wants to,
but you won't understand it.
But you probably won't understand it. But we could try to. But because you're dumb, you don't understand.
Or he's just very gullible and inexperienced. I think some people.
You have to give him a little credit. He said it appears flat.
Well, no shit. It appears flat because we're standing on top of a very large sphere. So for our frame of reference, it's going to appear to be flat.
Yeah, but I think some people that come across the whole flat Earth theory and that is like they learn it from some sort of YouTube video or something they stumbled across on the internet. So therefore, is it really a matter of them being dumb or them just being very gullible? Because some people don't do their proper research.
It's both. It's not a mutually exclusive. They're very dumb and they don't do proper research
for it because someone made it convincing enough in a YouTube video with pretty.
Oh, come on, Fatty! You don't need to make those arguments. Just go watch any episode of Star Trek. They're in space. They always come into every planet they come up to is a ball.
Yeah, they're dumb. Okay, but anyways, we have to
But
bring
you know
this
what
to
the
a
argument
close.
against that would be, right? That's just everyone else thinks.
We have to bring this to a close, unfortunately. If people want to continue on later on, we might have one later tonight or tomorrow. But I don't see any of these guys ever coming into our hangout to discuss their things about why they think the Earth is flat. It is, but you're stupid. Period. You're dumb. But anyways, Ozzy's having a nice little hangout on the place. It's called Ozzy on quote contra epistevism, the indispensability of faith. Don't know what it means. Sounds awesome. Actually, I kind of do know what it means, but I've talked about this subject.
Go watch it.
Still watch it anyways. But here's the link to join. I'm giving you guys the link right now in the live feed. So we've got 63 people watching, so I expect at least half of them will go come over and watch his stuff. So I'll post it once again after I get off air. But come on, guys, let's go support Ozzy. He's done a lot to help us. He's a very fascinating individual. He takes the time to come in and talk to us. So let's show him a little support by watching it.
We'll send dirty messages to Auroral while he's on there.
Yeah, that's cool too. Yeah, tell him G-Man misses him.
Oh God, we can throw up.
Hashtag bitch made. Did you show him? Did you show him the Ronnie Who or True Who?
Well, I did.
Show him the True Who.
We should just send him a message. Actually, I've just received a message to say that Ronnie is a little bit delayed. He's going to take another 20 minutes to get in. So can they delay Ozzy's thing?
Yeah, and he making sure that nobody can use a presentation, and Ozzy will come. Ronnie will come less prepared than he did before.
Just say it's true empiricism, and they'll probably delay it. So.
All right, sending people over now, posting it once again in the live feed, and thank you guys for watching, and we'll take this up again later. Peace.